Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 676, Helplessness from Superman. A. Guang and Superman. A. Clark had just calmed down a little after being comforted by Alfred, and then he saw a scene that almost made him vomit blood. The video continues. Luthor found the Kryptonian spaceship, the lifeboat that brought Clark to Earth, and Zod's spaceship had been blown up, but the Kryptonian exploration ship from 10,000 years ago was intact. Luthor had a piece of epidermis with Zod's fingerprint on each of his 5 fingers, and in this way he sneaked into the Kryptonian spaceship. It doesn't seem to be a simple fingerprint sticker. That's Zod's finger epidermis. The Kryptonian spaceship has no use for fingerprints alone. It needs Kryptonian DNA. Luthor should have used Krypton to soften Zod's skin cells and cut them off from above. Welcome. The auxiliary operating system of the Kryptonian spaceship was obviously severely damaged, and the main control key was directly broken in half. It was a miracle to be able to start the Kryptonian spaceship. Analysis shows that the ship has restored 37% of its operating capacity. Do you want to take over? Yes, I do. Very good. Let's get started. Krypton's database contains infinite knowledge of 100,000 worlds. Very good. Teach me. What is this kid planning to do? Bruce said, although he has dragged me into the game and has kryptonite, he should be prepared to have an extra defense. I'm also shocked by Luthor's talent. He can be said to be one of the smartest people in our world. If he learns the technology on the Kryptonian spacecraft, it will take a long time to transform Kryptonian technology into human creations. And he is not the kind of person who is obsessed with money. He must have other ideas. For example, use Kryptonians to defeat Kryptonians. Video continues. Bruce Wayne is also working out like crazy for the battle with Superman. He is not working out to defeat Superman by himself, which is no different from giving his head away. He is working out so that he can wear heavy armor, and he uses the kryptonite he got from Luthor to make kryptonite bullets. This special bullet can make Superman who touches it extremely weak. On one side, Alfred is preparing firewood for the winter, and on the other side, Bruce is working out like crazy to defeat Superman. Both are making preparations, but the contents of their preparations are very different. Luthor's information. Bruce saw the information of people with special abilities collected by Luthor, which was a stacked W, a pattern similar to the computer power button, a lightning, and an arrow. If I had known where Luthor had it, I would have looked at his directly. Bruce thought about it and decided to do both. His dozen private satellites equipped with combat power detectors were to be launched, and he had to go to Luthor's company himself, and he had to be prepared for Luthor. If this kid went crazy, the level of damage he would cause might be the same as Clark's. Looking at the information above and the logo that Luthor had thoughtfully helped them design, Bruce first clicked on the first file. That was the woman who had made him suffer a small loss in her hands before. The first one was a photo from 1992, and the second one was a video from 2015. Looking at the two pieces of information whose appearance had hardly changed, Bruce suddenly realized something. He took a deep breath and clicked on the third file. 1918, Belgium. 3 times, completely identical appearance. This woman has not aged at all. If 1992 to 2015 can be explained by the art of maintaining her youth, then 1918 to 2015 is no longer the art of maintaining her youth. This is fucking immortality. Even if she was born in 1918, she must be over 100 years old now. No one in the theater was surprised by Diana's age. There have been people who have lived for more than 100 years without getting old. Living for 5,000 years is nothing. There was someone in the theater who had just celebrated his 20,000th birthday. Bruce, shocked, did a tactical retreat, like a bag falling into water. The bag was opened in the yellow liquid, revealing the pale face of General Zod. Alexander Luthor, your security clearance has been accepted, and the Genesis chamber is ready to analyze genetic samples. Foreign genetic material has been found and is being analyzed. The owner has been identified as General Zod of Kansas City. The cold voice of the artificial intelligence sounded, and Luthor looked at the soaked corpse, and pulled out the knife he carried, cut his hand, and dripped his blood on the pale corpse with a hint of green. Sure enough, the situation that Bruce had worried about before happened. Someone used the DNA of the Kryptonians to create a creature with dual genes of Kryptonians and Earthlings. The Styx blood oath is unlikely to work on this kind of creature. Why did Luthor do this? He's afraid. Hickory suddenly said, I have a feeling that Luthor is afraid of something, so he is trying to come up with all these things. Having knowledge but no power. Strange said, like Archimedes, as a mathematician, he is extremely good, but his final ending was death at the hands of a Roman soldier. Luthor knows the power of the Kryptonians, and may even know about Darkseid. He is afraid of the other's power. He has unparalleled wisdom, but this wisdom cannot be transformed into power, so he is afraid, and then does these things. That's what we often say, ignorance is bliss. Luthor hates that God has power, but he only has wisdom, but no power to match it, so he can only rely on God's power. You flew too close to the sun, look at you. Luthor's eyes were moist and his voice was a little choked. Luthor is talking to himself. He is now like Icarus, the man who flew towards the sun with wings, made of feathers and wax. Warning. Action prohibited. The Kryptonian Parliament has issued a decree that it is strictly forbidden for anyone to give life to such a hideous deformity. This is blasphemy. Where is the Parliament of Krypton? It's destroyed, sir. Then let's get started. Okay, prepare the pupa shell and start transforming. It starts again. Ace, if there is any reason for Clark and Bruce to stand together again, it must be the deformed body created from Zod's corpse and the blood of the Earthlings. Guang, I don't know if it's the evil taste of the multiverse. As long as it is man-made, intelligent, and powerful enough, it will most likely turn against its creator and cause a lot of trouble in the end. Nexus will be updated in the next chapter. Chapter 677, Butler's Concerns. So we all want to know whether Superman knew about the crisis in advance, but stood aside and watched, and whether he had anything to do with the tragedy in Congress. His disappearance has aroused a lot of suspicion. How could he disappear? This country needs him most at this time in history. This is an individual with unlimited power, but he did not stop the detonator who was only a few feet away from him. Investigators think this is very unreasonable. The TV showed the angry crowd hanging a scarecrow in Superman's uniform in the air and shouting, "Burn him! Burn him!" Kent hasn't come back yet? No. Hearing the inquiry of the supervisor Perry, Lois said helplessly. In the subsequent investigation, the police searched Keith's apartment and found materials for making bombs, but they still did not dispel their suspicion of Superman. At the same time, there was a large amount of anonymous and reliable information that all pointed to Superman. Anonymous and reliable information. Great. Anonymous and reliable. Isn't this just a lie? There are still sober people, but the number of sober people is relatively small. So, the so-called democracy is actually a group of ignorant people who are pushed by people with ulterior motives to start a massacre. Louise entered Keith's home with the help of a reporter, and here, she really found some problems. That's the food in the refrigerator. If Keith really wanted to die, he would definitely not fill his refrigerator. And on the other side, Barbara also sent news that the metal used for wheelchairs and bullets in the desert is the same. I know, the desert, the hearing. Luthor wants to make murders happen wherever Superman goes. As a reporter, no, as a human being, it's not a joke for Lois to win the Pulitzer Prize. Even if she changes her job to become a private detective now, her performance will not be too bad. Her thinking, reaction, aesthetics and even physical fitness can beat me. A waste. When Luthor didn't deliberately cover it up, Lois easily found the problem. But Luthor was so strong that he built a wheelchair bomb and plated it with lead. Louise now understood why Clark didn't stop the bomb from exploding, because he couldn't see through it at all. I decided to go back and give Lois a promotion. Bruce said, her talent deserves a better position. This is the mountain of the dead. Only those who are on the verge of death can climb to the top of the mountain. A young man wanted to stop Clark from going to the top of the mountain, but was stopped by the old man behind him. No one can cross that mountain range. He is here to die. Clark came to the snow-capped mountain alone in his mountaineering clothes, as if he had pushed through layers of fog to reach the top of the mountain. Here, he saw a familiar back. Not bad. We Kansans live on the plains, so we go up the mountains and go down from here to the floodplains, farming at the bottom of the world. I remember one season, the flood was very severe. I was less than 12 years old at the time. My father took out the shovel and the two of us dug the canal all night. If I remember correctly, we were both exhausted, but we successfully stopped the flood and saved the farm. That's it, Mr. Kent. He was in the Man of Steel. Maybe your world really has magic and souls. Maybe this is just a temporary second personality that Clark split out when he was under too much mental pressure to become his father to guide him. Do you know? In myths and legends, climbing to the top of the mountain can get guidance from the gods. Maybe this is not just a legend. Your grandmother baked a cake and said I was a hero, but later we found that the water was indeed blocked, but flowed to someone else's house, and the Lang family's farm was washed away. While I was eating my hero cake, his horses were drowned. I often dream about them in my dreams, and hear them crying. Did the nightmare stop later? Clark is not only asking his father, but also asking himself. Yes, after I met your mother, she made me believe that there are many beautiful things in the world. She is my whole world, and I miss you, my son. I miss your father too. Clark said this with his back to his father. He knew that this was just his fantasy. His father had died a long time ago, and the story his father told was what he was experiencing now. The irregular building, made of stones on the side, looked like a tomb at this moment. The tomb was real. Jonathan's figure had disappeared, but the tomb was still in place. I have a bad feeling, Clark. Something is going to happen. No way. Could it be that Bruce really killed Clark? Not necessarily. Maybe it has something to do with the monster made of Zod's body. Clark listened to the barrage in the screening room, but his heart was extremely calm. He got a long-lost feeling from Alfu. That was fatherly love. Alfu was right. Nothing on the screen happened. The previous self was more like a dead end. As long as you are fully prepared, you can avoid all tragedies. Clark couldn't help but feel his hair stand on end whenever he thought about fighting Bruce or Zod's corpse in the future. That was not fear, that was disgust. Bruce Wayne stayed in the abandoned Wayne Manor and pondered. You know you have no chance of winning. This is suicide. The old butler finally stopped complaining about Bruce. He knew what Bruce was going to do. He was going to challenge God. It was like a primitive man holding a stick and a stone axe to fight an adult Godzilla, and the only chance of winning was a poison. I'm still old. When my father died, this may be the only meaningful thing I have done. Is there no point in fighting criminals for 20 years? Crime is like weeds, Alfred. If you pull it out here, it will grow back somewhere else. This is related to the future of this world. Keep it as a thought. It is my gift. My father once asked me to sit here and listen to him talk about the development of Wayne Manor, railroad tracks, houses, real estate and oil. The first generation of ancestors made their first pot of gold by doing business with the French. They relied on the fur business. They were hunters. Cold knowledge, hunters in that era made a living by hunting creatures stronger than themselves. So the meaning here is fearless. The butler's concerns did not stop Bruce. He still chose to kill gods as a mortal, which is impossible to happen among the world. In the end, the butler could only watch Bruce's figure leaving alone in the cold wind and slowly said, the Wayne family has fallen. Bruce had no offspring. When he died, the behemoth Wayne family also fell completely. Alfu looked at the departing figure on the screen, feeling depressed. Bruce once had the opportunity to get married and have children, but a madman in a circus ruined it all. Bruce used to be relatively normal, and he really met the person he loved, but after the clown incident, Bruce completely closed his heart and isolated himself from the world. He could only barely listen to the words of his old butler. He couldn't imagine what would happen if he died one day and Bruce was left alone. However, the appearance of the screening room gave him hope. Maybe Bruce could use the screening room to get out of the haze of the past. I've thought about what kind of torture I'll give Bruce this time. Chapter 678, The Butler's Advice. We have to wait for more evidence to be found, but we are still entangled in where he is. If Superman is not involved in this matter, if he has no hidden secrets, then why hasn't he shown up yet? It has been a while since the incident. Martha watched the discussion about her son on TV and left the restaurant with the garbage in a displeased manner and threw it into the trash can. When she found that there seemed to be a car following her, she pretended to be calm, but found that the other side was chasing her and immediately prepared to run away. But a car stopped in front and intercepted her, and she was taken away by a group of strangers. Mom. Clark almost couldn't hold back his tears when he saw his mother being kidnapped. The breath of the strongest person at the top of the food chain made Afu unable to resist for a while. Fortunately, Afu had practiced martial arts, and some rewards from the screening room also improved his life level. After a short period of discomfort, he adjusted. As a result, Clark saw the next second the scene instantly switched to Bruce wearing a heavy bat armor. Clark subconsciously thought that Bruce had done this, and his emotions instantly rioted. A more powerful aura field bloomed. Facing this pressure like a mountain pressing down on his head, Afu, who was in the aura field, almost vomited blood. The three energies of ki, internal force and elemental energy in his body, combined and flowed to resist the oppression of this aura field. But this was not enough. Fortunately, Clark noticed his loss of composure and quickly calmed down and came to Afu to help him sit on the sofa. After a short breath, Afu recovered. Seeing Clark with an apologetic and guilty face, Afu was not angry. He said to Clark, "Clark, learn Takai from me in the future." Takai? Yes, you haven't experienced the story of the Man of Steel yet, and you don't have enough control over your own strength. And I see that there are some differences in strength between you and the you on the screen. I combined the Takai in the screening room with some Taoist scriptures and boxing manuals from the eastern countries of our world to create a set of boxing. You should learn this from me to cultivate your body and mind. Okay. Looking at the sincere Afu, what else could Clark say? He quickly agreed. Afu was recalling the sudden momentum field before. Under the pressure of that power, he seemed to have touched the threshold of something. Batman put on the heavy bat armor and waited for Superman's arrival in the battlefield he had designed. He made all preparations and placed the weapons that could kill Superman in the position he had designed. Then he came to the rooftop, lifted the lampshade of the huge bat lamp, and projected the bat logo in the sky. He knew that, when he saw the sign, he would come. Why does your armor have to show your chin? Is it because you want the police to know that you are white? What an American joke. Seriously. Tony said, you put on an almost perfect armor, but your chin is exposed. Why don't you change the armor to an open one? Oh, no, don't tell me that your armor doesn't even have a life support system. Bruce Wayne, point because I'm Batman. DC law, when Batman says this, don't care about logic, you just need to know that he is Batman. Luthor saw the bat sign in the distance and knew that his plan was successful. He took out his phone and said the code to his men. Darkness has fallen. Louise, who was about to go home after get off work, found a familiar person on the way. After a moment of hesitation, she went over to ask, "Sorry to bother you, do we know each other?" They did know each other. The one who led the team in the desert and killed the witness was this guy, that is, the mercenary under Luthor. Louise was kidnapped directly, and the truck and helicopter brought them all the way to Luthor. Wanda, Clark, can't you hear? Clark Kent, I can only hear sounds when I listen deliberately. Usually my hearing is limited to the same as that of ordinary people. Loki Odinson, I have to say that this mercenary is quite dedicated. Peter Parker, Luthor not only kidnapped Martha, but also kidnapped Louis. Strange, one summoned Clark, and the other controlled Clark. Louise Lane, come and see the scenery. Luthor walked over and grabbed Lois's shoulders, looking in the direction of Gotham, where the sky was overcast and the moderate rain was turning into heavy rain, but it still couldn't stop the bat from appearing in the sky. This is a secret, and it is closely related to the building materials. Because the building materials are not heavy, they shake in the wind. You know the metal of Lex Group, right? Miss Ryan. Luthor brought Louise to the edge of the platform. Of course, Louise had already investigated everything. He did it on purpose, otherwise he would never use the special bullets made by his own company in the desert. He, the president of Lex Group, would not be so scared that he could not afford to buy bullets for his mercenaries. Louise looked at Luthor and was thinking about whether to kick him down. I have confirmed what you did. Facing Luthor who kidnapped her, Louise did not have a good face. You are really energetic. Unfortunately, all that will be gone with the wind, like a fool in the desert. You are just a lunatic. That's the name given by mediocre people to those who cannot understand profound knowledge. The next category is circle. They have been looking for Superman in circles and circles, but they got the wrong category. No, it should be a triangle. That's right, Euclid's law of trigonometric imbalance. The most common straight line between any 2 points is a straight line, so I believe the shortest distance to find Superman is a very small road called Lois Lane. After Luthor talked crazily around Lois, he came behind her and pushed her off the edge. Lois fell from a high altitude unexpectedly. Just as Lois lost control and screamed anxiously in the air, Superman Clark came to her side and rescued her from danger. You're back, you're back. Oh my god. There are a lot of problems here. Luthor looked at Superman who appeared in front of him, sitting on the ground with a well-behaved face. JPG, but his hand was still twisting something. Oh, it was an alarm clock. About the problem of evil in the world, about the problem of absolute virtue. His voice was a little trembling, but it was not fear, but excitement. I won't hurt you, but I will send you to prison. You should be grateful. You are the cause of all problems. You are above everything. That's where God is. God is like this. Horus, Apollo, Jehovah, Kal-El, Clark Joseph Kent. See, our name for God depends on our tribe. Clark Joe. Clark walked slowly from the air to Luthor. Luthor kept retreating in front of the god of the world. Just when he guessed Superman's identity, Clark stopped. Because gods are also divided into tribes, and gods are also partial. When I was a child, no one in heaven intervened to save me from my father's fists and malice. Clark's reaction confirmed Luthor's guess. His gestures became more and more crazy, and he became crazy. I have long understood that if God is omnipotent, then he cannot be all good. If he is all good, then God cannot be omnipotent. The same goes for you. They need to see your dark side. See it with their own eyes. The blood on your hands. Luthor wants Superman to fall from his throne and let the world see that Superman also has a dark side. God cannot be omnipotent and all good, because if God is all good and omnipotent, then there can be no evil in the world. So either God is not omnipotent, or God is not all good, or there is no God in the world. What did you do? They will see it tonight, because you and my friend have a date, over at the harbor. The time is ripe. 2 years of brewing, hatred has blossomed and borne fruit. But it didn't take much effort to incite him. Just a few words set him off. You killed your family. Bruce read Luthor's genius plan with a cold face. It must be said that this plan, which took 2 years to come to fruition, was full of hatred, and the angry Bruce Wayne was firmly controlled. But now, he has woken up. The video continues. Now you have to fly to him to meet him, and fight him to death. Black and Blue, Fighting Night. The greatest gladiator battle in the history of the world. Gods vs mortals. Day vs night. The son of Krypton vs the Gotham Bat. Do you think I will fight for you? Clark didn't know where Luthor got the confidence to let him fight for him. Yes, that's right. I think you will fight to death for the lady in your life. Luthor became very excited, shaking his body and saying affirmatively. She is safe on the ground, but what about you? Okay. But I'm not talking about Lois. No. The goddess in a boy's life is actually his mother. Hearing Luthor's words, Clark's face changed instantly. Luthor took out a stack of photos from his body, and on it was Clark's mother Martha. Clark immediately wanted to take action, but looking at Martha in the photo, he held back. Martha. A flying demon mother must be a witch. What is the punishment for witches? That's right. Burning alive. Luthor threw the photo in his hand to the ground, watching Superman kneel down in front of him to pick up the photo, and the excitement on his face was almost overflowing. Where is she? Looking at the mother in the photo, tied to a chair with the word witch written on her forehead, Clark raised his head with a hideous face and red eyes and roared. I don't know. I won't let them tell me. If you kill me, Martha will die. If you fly away, Martha will die too. But if you kill the bat, Martha will live. Clark's anger scared Luthor. in order to prevent himself from revealing Martha's whereabouts because of his fear of Superman. He didn't let his men tell him where Martha was. He was afraid that he would tell Martha's whereabouts because of his instinctive reaction. Clark only needed a look to kill the bastard in front of him, but he couldn't. This is the most aggrieved thing in the world. Looking at Clark kneeling on the ground, everyone was also full of anger. Clark left a very good impression on everyone. He was gentle, humble and kind. Only perverts would want to see kind people suffer. That's right. Now the gods have submitted to me and obeyed my will. The cameras are waiting for you on the boat. Let the world see that God can also do bad things. Yes, the almighty gods come and confess their actions for selfish interests. When the gods also knelt in front of him, Luthor boldly touched Clark's head. The fear of the gods made his adrenaline soar, and the blasphemy against the gods made his blood swell. At this moment, he was fearless. After giving Superman some time, he got on the helicopter and left here. You have to save Martha in exchange for the head of the bat. Holy Mother of Christ. Look at the time. You must be back within an hour. Time is running out. Luthor is a strong enemy. Bruce said, calm and crazy. These two words that should be opposites can appear on him at the same time. Once wisdom is added to these two words, an extremely terrifying existence will be born. Luthor wants Clark and I to fight a life and death battle, and there is also a man-made monster in a basement. It is even wrapped in lead. A machine gun is connected to the life monitoring system and the countdown system. No matter whether the countdown is over or Luthor is finished, the machine gun will start, and then blood splatters. Can't we find Martha by listening to her voice? Just like saving Louis. After careful calculation, Bruce came to the conclusion, no way. What? Clark is very fast, but he can't take the gamble. Without Martha's coordinates, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. And with so many cameras and reporters, Clark can't take the gamble. Yes, no one dares to use his mother's life as a bet, especially when the opponent is a madman like Luthor. Batcave. Calm your heart. Imagine that there is a flame in your heart. Use your mind to subdue it, to resolve it. Alpha is instructing Clark on how to control his emotions. Due to Clark's special physique, Alpha dare not let him take a deep breath, so he can only use meditation. Is it possible that the one who saves mankind in the end is actually the butler? Chapter 679, Thunder and Lightning, the battle between man and God. Reporter Brooke Baldwin is at the scene. Brooke, describe what you saw. Something seemed to have happened on the ship, and a huge electric wave was emitted. They set up roadblocks around the scene. We are trying to get as close to the accident site as possible. The scene is in complete chaos. Louise stopped a taxi and prepared to go to the Daily Planet, but Superman suddenly appeared beside Lois and told her, I must go to Gotham and convince him to help me. Who? Otherwise he will die. Clark, no one in this world is always kind. After leaving this sentence, Clark left here. Clark is foreshadowing that, if there is really no other way, he will kill Bruce to save Martha. Understandable. Facing Clark's words of killing himself, Bruce was very calm. He said, if I am given a chance to face that night again, I will choose to save my parents at all costs, even if it means killing the robber. Clark is willing to negotiate with me instead of killing me directly, which is a great kindness. I didn't expect him to say that. Clark knew that Bruce had always been on guard against him, but he didn't expect that the other party would actually express understanding of his actions at this time. No one will always be kind. Sometimes people have to choose between dirtying their hands and dirtying their hearts in order to survive, and what's more tragic is that they have to choose both. Diana had seen the live broadcast on TV before, and now she received an email from Bruce directly. I cracked Luthor's hard drive and found your photo, but it doesn't belong to you. And behind it is a black and white photo, which is the trace Diana once left in this world. This is you. Who are you? Where have you been? There was an attachment in the email, which contained 4 confidential documents. Diana clicked on one of the documents with a lightning symbol, and also clicked on the video inside. After clicking on it, it was a surveillance video of a supermarket. It showed a man buying things in the supermarket. When he opened the beverage cabinet to take a drink, a man entered the convenience store with a gun and robbed it. The man who was buying things saw the robbery, and then in the video, the man disappeared from the screen for less than a second. With a few flashes of lightning, the robber was sanctioned. Interested, Diana clicked on another video again, which was a confidential video of an unmanned submersible. At 6,660 meters below the seabed of the Tonga Trench, a strange man holding a harpoon actually lived here and used his superpowers in the water to destroy the spacecraft. The last video was a video of laboratory number 3. A professor was conducting an experiment. The man inside said, 2,400 hours and 2 minutes, all procedural interferences in the rapid decline of the research object have failed, and the result will be death. Behind him was a man with most of his body missing. Faced with the result that the experimental subject was about to die, the professor was obviously very angry. The next second, the professor picked up something like a communicator and said, "Drive Silas Stone, stop all clinical trial programs." Then the doctor successfully activated a mysterious thing, which resurrected the person behind him who had already died. Diana saw this and turned off the computer and immediately left. "That's right," Bruce said. "The speedster is a high combat power in Midtown, but he is in the seabed, not the one Luther called Aquaman. In the depths of the ocean, I have detected a lot of high-level energy sources, one of which can even be comparable to Diana without equipment. Due to the instability of the combat power detector, I'm not sure about the other party, but I have personally met the Aquaman. He usually takes it with him on the shore. I took advantage of him drinking in the bar to detect him. He is very strong, but only very strong. I don't understand the evaluation criteria of the combat power detector. For example, it can't see my combat power. As for that laboratory, I know that Dr. Silas Stone. Diana Prince, Mother Box. Diana Prince, that's right. The box that Dr. Stone used is the Mother Box. It is the equipment that Darkseid uses to transform the planet. When the Mother Box is awakened, it will send information to Apocalypse. So we have kept the Mother Box dormant for all these years, but the Mother Box of humans. Bruce Wayne, I know. It's still a year or two before the dawn of justice. Alfred, check that laboratory and Dr. Silas Stone. Alfred, okay, sir. Bruce didn't say much, but he was ready for action. The video continues. Gotham, this damn place, only sees a few days of sunshine throughout the year. Continuous rain is the background color of this city. And today, the rain turned into heavy rain, but the heavy rain could not disperse the bat lights on the clouds. Outside the battlefield, Batman was wearing a heavy bat armor and had been drenched in rain for half an hour. I need a helicopter to Gotham. Helicopter? Perry said helplessly. We can't even afford a bicycle. Are you going to follow the news? Really? Go to that ship and Superman may have arrived. Perry, this is not for the news. Perry looked at the way Lois looked at him and knew that he couldn't refuse her today. With that look, even if he didn't give Lois a helicopter, Lois would swim to Gotham even if she swam. Jenny, find her a helicopter to Gotham. It's useless to find a helipad. Let it park on the damn roof. Where are we going? Over there. She pointed to the direction where the bat logo was. Going to Gotham costs extra. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. Batman looked up at the dark sky where there was a person waiting for him. There used to be people looking up at the sky, but they were mortals looking up at gods, and now, they are men who are extremely angry and want to kill gods. Clark looked at Bruce on the screen. Although he was wearing a heavy bat armor and his eyes were two glowing, round cones, he couldn't see Bruce's eyes at all, but he could hear the murderous intent and anger in Bruce's tone that made him shudder. Alfred, Master, I found out about Dr. Silas Stone. The man with only half of his body left is his son, Victor Stone. Chapter 680. You are not brave. Only humans are brave. Alfred, Victor is still a football player now, and he performs well on the field. Peter Parker, football, is it because of something that caused Victor's life to be in danger that Dr. Silas used the Mother Box to save Victor? Loki Odinson, why didn't Silas use his own son as an experiment? Guang, your ability to look at things from other perspectives never disappoints me. Loki, Dr. Silas's previous performance clearly showed that he felt powerless, so he looked like he had given up on himself, and later when he activated the Mother Box, he looked like he was risking everything. It is obvious that he loves his son very much, so how could he use Victor as an experiment? Holy Lord, but even so, isn't it extremely selfish to exchange the future of the Earth for the life of his own son? Thanos, sometimes you make me feel that you are just trying to stir up trouble, and you also want that Asgardian, who can guarantee that the other party must know the power of the mother box. Of course, there is nothing wrong with the father wanting to save his child, but the mistake is that he used a method that would threaten the planet. Thanos. However, there should be no records of the mother box in human books. Ace, why do you say that? Thanos, I guess, if there is a record of the mother box, it will definitely not bypass the war 5,000 years ago. In other words, either the invasion of Apocalypse 5,000 years ago was not recorded by humans, or it was erased by the characters. Diana Prince, it is possible that the mother box was divided into 3 parts at that time, and humans, Paradise Island, and Atlantis each kept 1 part. The lifespan of humans is not as long as ours and the Atlanteans, so it is very likely that the history of the mother box has not been preserved. Thanos, I guess it was the disappearance of the mother box that caused humans to lose that period of history. I have read human history books, and no dynasty can last more than 1,000 years. Maybe the human kingdom that kept the mother box was destroyed after a few hundred years, and the heavily guarded mother box was also missing. Then the history of that kingdom was destroyed, leaving only a few words. Bruce nodded. Thanos' speculation was correct, because if there really was such a period of history, or if the mother box was a famous artifact, he would not have been unaware of it. Bruce Wayne, Alfred, go find Dr. Silas, and buy the mother box. No, just buy his lab and research institute. By the way, which team is Victor on? I bought it too. Alfred, yes, sir. Tony looked at Bruce shopping and couldn't help but sighed. If only things like the Infinity Stones could be bought with money, then there would be too much effort left. A group of ordinary people looked at the world's richest man who was throwing money around, and a billionaire who wanted to throw money around, but had no place to throw it around, and they felt a little suffocated. Why do things like labs, research institutes and private satellites that sound so high-end sound like today's lunch to them? Although it has nothing to do with their own world, they still feel a little suffocated. The video continues. Superman landed with a Jaguar 60 and then heard Batman say provocatively, "I'm here. Bruce. Don't do this. I was wrong." Superman walked towards Batman, but Batman took a step back every time he took a step. Superman had no time to think about it. He just regarded this as a manifestation of fear. He could only continue to move forward. "You must listen to me. Lex wants us to." With a click, 2 equipments that looked like speakers appeared instantly, one on the left and one on the right, aiming at Superman. This was a trap set by Batman in advance. He used a device to launch a very terrifying sonic attack against Superman's super hearing. This thing can already cause physical damage, which is particularly painful for Superman. Wait a minute, how did Clark know Batman's true identity? It was in the library before. Clark heard it directly with super hearing. Seeing that Superman was caught as he expected, Batman's mouth curled up. But this thing only had the effect of a group of mosquitoes that would not bite people on Superman. He picked up the manhole cover on the ground, tore it in half, and then threw it left and right to destroy the sonic weapon. "You don't understand. You don't understand at all. We don't have time." Of course I understand. Superman and Batman collided with each other. Their faces were tightly separated by 30 centimeters. After hearing Batman's words, Superman gently pushed his chest, and a Batman wearing heavy armor flew backwards. The strong inertia and the reduced friction of the rain made it difficult for Batman to control his body for a while. "Superman, you know what I mean. You fell down before I even used any strength." Superman continued to walk forward, and several fully automatic machine guns were extended from behind the walls on both sides. When Superman saw them, he subconsciously blocked them. That is, he used his hands and arms to protect his own company. The bullets hit him without any effect except sparks. Even his cape was not broken. Superman, who had recovered, had red eyes. The high temperature laser light destroyed these things like a hot knife cutting butter. Superman strode directly to Batman. Batman just stood up and was lifted up and thrown away by Superman. Then he lightly punched Bruce from the bottom of the building to the bottom. "Lie down and don't move. If I really hit you, you would have been dead long ago." In response, Batman said he didn't want to talk to you and threw a smoke bomb at you. Superman didn't care at all. For him, there was no way on Earth that could break his defense. He went straight through the smoke and saw Batman shooting a bullet at him. He caught it with his hand without thinking. DC taboo: don't take Batman's things casually. Superman didn't expect that when he caught the bullet, a thick green gas would emanate from it and directly cover his head. When Superman inhaled the green gas containing kryptonite powder, he became weak and fell to the ground in pain. Superman pushed 2 handprints on Batman's heavy bat chest, but he didn't care because his goal had been achieved. Breathe it in. Remember, this is fear. This is the smell of fear. Batman walked beside Superman, who was kneeling on the ground in pain, and said, "You are not brave." Under the oppression of fear, Superman punched Batman directly, but unlike expected, this punch was easily blocked by Batman with his forearm. Only humans are brave. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 681, Batman vs. Superman. Bruce Wayne's gun. Because Superman has always relied on his own powerful abilities to fight, no one can block his fists and no one can break his defense, not even Zod. But after washing his face with kryptonite powder, Superman fell from the altar and became no different from an ordinary person for a while. When facing Batman, who is wearing heavy armor and is also a top fighting master, proficient in various martial arts and killing skills, Superman feels what his enemies used to feel when facing him. When his fist was blocked by Batman, Superman was so shocked that he didn't even have time to react. He didn't understand what was going on, but then Batman's fist hit him. Even though the opponent is now mortal, Batman still maintains the highest vigilance. The anger reduces his rationality, but it improves his fighting power in disguise. Batman blocked Superman's punch with a side block, even though he couldn't do any damage to the heavy armor at this moment. Then, facing Superman's straight punching style, Batman easily pulled away and knocked him back with a headbutt, and then punched Superman in the face with a steel cannon punch. Fortunately, Superman's body is still made of steel. Although he is no different from an ordinary person now, Batman's fist can only knock him back and stun him, but can't break his defense. After giving Superman a knee strike in the stomach, Batman kicked Superman away with a straight kick, and then pressed his legs on Superman's chest to shatter the glass and knock him into the room. Facing such a heavy blow, Superman was in pain, and temporarily lost his ability to move. Isn't this too strong? No, it's mainly the effect of kryptonite powder. Bruce didn't break the defense the whole time. Maybe he just wanted to beat Superman up. No. Bruce said, "I will kill him." Clark looked at himself being beaten unilaterally by Bruce on the screen, and suddenly realized the meaning of Bruce's previous words. "You are not brave, humans are brave." Humans dare to stand on the Tower of Babel to challenge God, and Clark remembered the scene where his adoptive father Jonathan Kent would rather be swept away by a tornado to protect himself. Bruce was right. Although he has invincible power, he is still a farm boy in his bones. Strength cannot determine everything. He has a hunch that Batman will kill him, and he is serious. In the screening room, Peter observed Bruce's moves, and then he said, "Bruce's skills are very strong." After Mr. Clark was poisoned, he could only passively take the beating, even if he took off his heavy armor. His fighting skills were enough for him to fight out of a team of 100 heavily armored infantrymen with his bare hands in the cold weapon era. "You're flattering me. To be honest, I inherited some of the combat experience of the fit people, but if I had your fighting skills, it would be much easier to deal with some enemies." The video continues. Batman, who landed on the ground, had no mercy. He kicked Superman, who was wearing a painful mask, and kicked him away directly. He followed up with another kick. After Superman stood up, he punched again and again, and the iron fists hit Superman's face one after another. The combo made Superman unable to resist. Batman grabbed Superman's neck and smashed him against the stone wall beside him. This smash directly made a big hole. If Superman's defense had not been reduced by the kryptonite powder, the battle would have ended by now. Superman was knocked to the ground by Batman's punch, but Superman lying on the ground suddenly felt that something was wrong. Has the power of that thing worn off? Faced with Batman's sweeping kick, Superman blocked it with his arm without hesitation and then threw it directly to the wall beside him. The heavy-duty bat armor with a huge tonnage directly broke through the wall and flew out under the action of power. The offense and defense were exchanged. Looking at the fried shrimp balls knocked out by Batman, Superman rushed over directly. After a brief fight, Batman stopped. It's useless. The previous steel punch now hit Superman's face and it's not even scraping. It can only be regarded as a massage for an elephant. Batman raised his hands and took a fighting posture, but in the face of absolute power, all skills are bullshit unless you can cheat. Although Batman didn't cheat, maybe it's possible. He had kryptonite props. Facing the rushing Superman, Batman directly hit the face with another kryptonite powder bullet, and this time the amount was even larger than last time. This time, the amount of smoke bombs. Perhaps due to the influence of the kryptonite bombs before, Superman's mind is not clear now. After being hit once, Superman fell to the ground in pain and was unable to react. The amount this time was too large, and he had not yet reacted from the first attack. Batman's armor mask was half broken by Superman's punch, but this did not hinder his next action. He directly took the sink from the sink next to him and smashed it hard on Superman's head. Superman defeated. He threw Superman to the lower floor with his backhand. Batman leaned on the tools and landed gently. He tied the steel wire to Superman's legs and pulled Superman's body and said, "I believe your parents taught you that you are special and you have a mission here, but my parents taught me completely differently. They died tragically for no reason." Batman swung the steel wire in his hand, swinging Superman like an ordinary person swinging a meteor hammer, and finally threw Superman heavily to the ground. "They taught me that only by forcing the world can it become reasonable." Batman pulled out a spear, and the tip of the spear emitted a dazzling green light. Yes, the entire tip of the spear was made of kryptonite. The whole, more than 90% of the kryptonite obtained from Luthor was made into this spear. Batman raised the spear. At this moment, this spear might get a new name, Bruce Wayne's spear, just like the spear that killed Jesus, and got a proper name, the Spear of Longinus. He slowly walked towards Superman. And Lois also arrived here in a helicopter. Maybe, I mean it's possible, Lois is here to save Bruce. Why do you say that? No normal person would think that Bruce can win. That's right. Batman walked beside Superman, holding a spear, and said the words of judgment. "You have never been a god. You are not even a human being." Chapter 682, Reconciliation. Batman stepped on Superman's neck and tried to scratch his face with a spear. Superman's steel body was as tender as tofu under the weapon made of kryptonite, and a wound was easily cut. Is this the effect of special attack weapons? Saying that Superman is a steel body is actually an insult. With his physical strength, steel is no different from tofu in front of him. However, even if everyone was mentally prepared, they were shocked when they saw that the spear made of kryptonite only scratched it lightly and left a deep and unhealable scar on the steel body. This feeling is a subversion of cognition. Bruce's eyes lit up. Fix it. Find a way to fix it. Fix the world engine device. You are asking him to kill Martha. Superman, whose neck was stepped on, couldn't even open his eyes under the influence of the dazzling green light of kryptonite, but he still shouted this sentence desperately. Batman holding the spear stopped. "What do you mean? Why did you mention this name?" The murderous Batman was stunned. "Find him. Save Martha. Martha." Countless scenes appeared in Batman's mind like a revolving lantern. Crime alley, pearl necklace, gun, Batcave, grave. Martha Wayne. Why did you say that name? Martha. Why did you say that name? Lois came to Clark's side and begged Batman not to kill Clark. Why did you say that name? Hearing Batman's shout, Lois responded instinctively. That's his mother's name. That's his mother's name. This sentence made Batman loosen his leg that was stepping on Superman. He slowly stepped back 2 steps, and the expression on his face changed from murderous intent to confusion to anger. Ah! A spear emitting green light flew out and nailed to the wall beside him. What the hell? The Holy Lord, who was originally looking forward to the plot of mortals killing gods, was unhappy. I was looking forward to it for a long time and you showed me this? Exclamation mark. Holy Lord, what a mess. Why did you stop all of a sudden? Exclamation mark. Martha. My mother's name is also that. Everyone looked at Bruce, but found that he was sweating profusely at this moment. Bruce. Agwan walked to Bruce's side, and the light particles in his hand tried to merge into Bruce's body to help him calm down, but found that his light particles were blocked by an invisible force. Agwan looked at the screen, as if to indicate to the theater that this was not an attack. Bruce took Agwan's hand down and said, I understand why all this happened. Everyone couldn't understand all this, but Tony seemed to understand something. Tony Stark rarely showed high emotional intelligence, and left this opportunity to Bruce to explain. Some things would be more effective if he said them himself. I became a murderer. After saying this, Bruce stopped talking. Everyone. Loki Odinson, I seem to understand a little bit. He may have realized that if he killed Clark, he would actually be no different from the gangster who killed his parents in the alley. Wanda, it's not over yet. Bruce wanted to kill Clark mercilessly at the beginning, but Clark said that you let him kill Martha. For Clark, this was his most basic inner thought at the time, but for Bruce who didn't know, this sentence was more like a mockery, so he should have been angry at the time. Clark Kent, for me, this sentence can be said to be a cry for help, because I want to save my mother. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan. Let me summarize it. Everything started decades ago. Decades ago, the Wayne couple took their son, Bruce Wayne, who was only 8 years old, to the theater to watch a movie, and was shot and killed by a criminal in the alley on the way back. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan. Therefore, Bruce Wayne, who was only 8 years old, became an orphan. Fortunately, he had a responsible and super good butler. In the process of being raised by the butler, Wayne embarked on a path of fighting crime, but he walked on this road for too long. So long that he lost himself. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan. The next story is a story before the Justice League. When Bruce was about to kill Clark, Clark suddenly said, "You are asking him to kill Martha." For Clark, this he is naturally referring to Luthor, but for Bruce, from his perspective, this will immediately remind him of the killer in the alley. Wanda, this sentence is Clark showing his human side, making Bruce realize that he is actually a human being, a child with a mother. Strange, remember the words in the screening room at the beginning? This is a story about people who have just embarked on this road and are confused, and people who have been on this road for too long and are confused, saving each other. The scene just now is actually the old and lost Batman finding himself under the influence of the vigorous young Superman. The explanations of several people are reasonable, and the real reason is probably only known to Bruce himself. The video continues. We are still guarding the center of the incident. The situation is very dangerous. The army and police have surrounded this area. The impact caused by Luthor here is still continuing. Meanwhile, his men were sitting in the room where Martha was tied up, making final preparations. The timer on the table had only 10 minutes left, and a mercenary had already taken out a flamethrower and ignited the flame. Luthor, he wants to exchange your life for Martha, and she doesn't have much time left. Superman stood up with the help of Batman, but the scar on his face that was previously scratched by kryptonite had already formed, and the blood scabs had fallen off, but the effects of kryptonite still existed. That reconnaissance ship seems to be drawing electricity from the city. It must be Lex who did it. The ship needs you. I'll go find her. My mother needs me. Wait. Bruce stopped Clark, and when he looked closely, there seemed to be traces of tears on his face. He said solemnly, "I promise you that Martha will never die tonight." This is a promise from Batman, more of a prayer, a chance to pray for redemption. RRR, I missed the opportunity to play online for typing. You guys compensate me. Chapter 683, The Resurrected Devil. Mr. Wayne. Alfred's voice sounded from the headset, and his tone was unprecedentedly cheerful. Alfred could feel the happiness from his tone on the screen. Yes, the important person who he thought was about to lose was found again. Is there anything faster than this? Maybe there is. That is, Bruce Wayne finally let go of his identity as Batman. If there is anything else, it must be Bruce Wayne getting married and having children so that he can have grandchildren. Cough. Take care of the next generation of the Wayne family. Alfred. Sorry, I eavesdropped on your conversation, but I tracked the Russian's phone to a warehouse in the port, and the navigation has been located. I don't deserve you to treat me like this, Alfred. Faced with Bruce's apology, Alfred just said in a joking tone, yes, you don't deserve it. Batman and Superman left one after another. Louis, who stayed behind, thought for a moment and picked up the kryptonite spear on the ground, intending to make it into a kryptonite washboard. What's wrong with you? After calming down, my mind became clear and I realized my mistake. It's time. The mercenaries were about to get rid of Martha, but they heard a roar. This was the sound of the plane engine. Shoot it down. Quick. It was a bat-shaped fighter. Luthor's men who were guarding outside quickly got on the car and used the car-mounted machine gun to shoot at the bat fighter in the sky. The muzzle spit out tongues of fire, and the hot and swift bullets did not have any effect on the fighter. Batman pressed a button on the fighter, and a special ammunition flew out and released paralyzing smoke to directly knock out the machine gunner. You control the plane, Alfred. After cleaning up the surrounding armed forces on guard, Batman circled in the sky and instructed his old butler, "Oh, okay, turn on the remote control driving mode." After hearing the young master's instructions, the butler turned on the remote control at the base. The terminal thermal imaging shows that there are 24 gangsters on the 3rd floor. I might as well put you on the 2nd floor. The butler remotely controlled the fighter plane to the 2nd floor. Batman spread his bat glider and jumped in from the window. Inside were mercenaries who had already taken up their weapons and were ready to meet the enemy. Guard the door. Yes. A black shadow flashed by, like a huge human-shaped bat cutting through the night sky. Just as the mercenaries were alertly pointing their guns at the door, an explosion came from the floor. The mercenaries who were closest to the door were blown away on the spot. The black shadow took advantage of the chaos to break the floor and drilled out from under their feet. Batman, there are walls and floors. Why should I go through the door? Most of the gangsters' rifles were locked by Batman's high-tech locks. After a flash, sparks flew out. Then the only one who was not locked was pressed against him. The gangster subconsciously wanted to open fire, but was pressed close by Batman. The panicked gangster did not hurt Batman, but caused great damage to his friendly forces. Yoran woke up from the chaos and raised his gun to Batman, but was hit by the hook in his hand. He lost his resistance after a slight pull. There were other people in the field who wanted to resist. Although they were outnumbered, they were no match for Batman. The pistol bullet hit Batman's arm and only sparked a little. Seeing that the pistol could not hurt Batman, several people surrounded him with knives. Batman's powerful physical skills did not cause much impact, but they still found an opportunity with their large numbers and knocked Batman to the ground. One of them took the opportunity to stab Batman's chest with a dagger, but he just inserted it and finally proved that their resistance was in vain. After Batman subdued the mercenaries outside, the only enemies left were the two people who were still guarding Martha in the room. One of them pointed a gun at the door. Batman broke through the wall and attacked one of them. The other one could only threaten Batman with the hostage Martha. Martha was tied to a chair nearby. The man with the flamethrower pointed the flamethrower at Martha and threatened, "Put her down. I told you to put her down. I will kill her. Believe me, I will do it." The man yelled crazily. Fear made his voice a little distorted, and the hand holding the flamethrower was shaking a little, but he still held Batman's vitals tightly. Martha was tied to the chair and could only tremble. "I believe you." Just then Martha spoke. Hearing this, Batman hesitated and shot the flamethrower in the man's hand. Then the ghostly figure came in front of Martha and blocked her tightly into his body. After the flamethrower was hit, the muzzle sprayed flames, but exploded after a few seconds. The explosion of the flamethrower caused the flames to sweep here. When the flames dissipated, Martha was well protected under Batman. "It's okay, I'm your son's friend. I guessed it, just look at the cape." After picking up the kryptonite spear, Louis did not think of turning it into a kryptonite washboard, but chose a pool and threw the kryptonite spear into it. Luthor was waiting in the room hoping that Batman would give him good news, but the white alarm clock on the table next to him rang. Luthor's face was a little ugly when he picked it up, and there was also the sound of someone falling from the sky and breaking through the wall behind him. Late, Mr. White Rabbit. Luthor knew that Superman had come here without looking back, which might also be in his plan. There are still 40 seconds until resurrection. The artificial intelligence on the Kryptonian spaceship gave a reminder. Right, little White Rabbit? You can't do anything now. There is no time, and you didn't bring the bat's head. There are still 30 seconds until resurrection. Luthor watched Superman throw away the white alarm clock in his hand calmly. The chef called. "Excuse me. Gotham BBQ did a great job. Hello." Announce the bad news. At this moment, Luthor was still very confident and calmly answered the phone on the table. "I would rather announce it in front of you." But Luthor didn't expect that. After answering the phone, the voice from the other end was Batman's, and his face changed instantly. "There are still 20 seconds until resurrection. You lose." Superman pronounced Luthor's final result like the god of death. "I don't know what it means to lose. You will learn." Will I learn? I don't hate sinners, but I hate sin itself. There are still 10 seconds until resurrection. And your sin, my friend. It is your existence itself. I can't let you win. I give the Bat a chance to kill you, but he is not strong enough. So if humans can't kill gods. 3, 2, 1. Luthor's expression is a little crazy, but all this seems to be still in Luthor's plan. Then let the devil do it. Chapter 684, Superman, this is your doomsday. Superman just looked at Luthor coldly. For some reason, he did not stop Luthor's behavior. After the countdown ended, the Kryptonian spaceship activated Luthor's plan and extracted the city's electricity to revive the monster that combined the genes of Krypton and Luthor. Because the spaceship extracted a huge amount of electricity, the city was instantly plunged into darkness. Perry. Okay, everyone please stay calm. The Daily Planet lost power during this incident and fell into darkness, causing chaos, but was quickly resolved by the supervisor. We have received reports that the entire city from the north to the northwest has fallen into darkness. Federal authorities are trying to determine whether this is part of a large-scale terrorist attack. The news quickly reported the power outage, and the defense ministers looked on in surprise. After the spaceship had sufficient power and Superman did not stop this behavior, Luthor did not control it. Ancient Kryptonian deformed creature, the blood of my blood. Luthor showed Superman the blood scab on his hand. He didn't have Superman's self-healing ability. In the yellow blood cocoon behind him, a black head was trying hard to break free from the blood cocoon. Born to destroy you, your doomsday. A huge embryo successfully broke out of the cocoon under the control of the spacecraft. It looked very ugly, with densely packed sharp teeth in its mouth. Its body was smooth and covered with slippery mucus. It was very strong and struggled to tear off the film left on its body. Superman looked at the monster in front of him dully. Even though the other party was not a human-type creature at all, he could still see the shadow of its attributes from its face. Zod. No matter which country or region, being beaten to death for whipping corpses and digging graves is considered a cheap punishment. There are records in ancient laws that gravitiggers can be lynched directly by their families if they are caught, and the government will never pursue responsibility. If they are sent to the government, they will be torn to pieces with no upper limit. As for those who can get 15,000 yuan in compensation for whipping corpses and digging graves, it can only be said that there are national conditions. Clark can also see that the face of the monster called Doomsday is very similar to Zod. Even if he has not seen Luthor's plan before, he can see that the other party is related to Zod. And Superman on the screen is probably very surprised when he sees this face. Bruce looked at Doomsday on the screen and thought that his worries were not unreasonable. His initial plan was for the future hybrid of Kryptonians and Earthlings, that is, Clark's offspring. Although he also considered artificial hybrid creatures, he did not expect Luthor on the screen to directly create one. Bruce didn't think that the Styx blood oath would have an effective effect on this thing. The object of the Styx blood oath was a Kryptonian, so at least the other party must be a Kryptonian. This thing had no consciousness and was completely a beast's attack mode. He didn't even know what a human was, so how could he think he was a Kryptonian? And maybe Clark couldn't hurt this deformed monster. But Bruce didn't plan to relax the restrictions on Clark. Yes, the self on the screen agreed to cooperate with Clark and put down his killing intention, but neither he nor the Batman on the screen would give up his vigilance against Superman. Yes, Superman is indeed a good person now, but what about the future? It's not okay to hand over the future of all mankind to an intelligent life form. No one can guarantee that Clark will change in the future. The Wasteland Future Warning showed that Superman defected to Darkseid, and the reason for the blackening was Lois. He couldn't trust anyone, because people would change, and the same was true for artificial intelligence. Maybe there was an exception, and it was just that one. I don't know if this monster is immune to kryptonite. If not, I don't know if the soul attacks such as the Charm Magic Mind Gem will be effective. Image continues. Now the gods are dead. Luthor confidently announced that Superman's death was approaching. As soon as Doomsday got out of the trap, he opened his bloody mouth and let out an angry howl, and then swung his barbed fist to hit him, and this first punch was aimed at Luthor. But Superman came in front of Doomsday with a faster speed and reaction speed, and stopped using his own hands to catch Doomsday's fist. Why did Clark save Luthor first? Instinct. Kindness does not need a reason. You are already a goody-goody. Bruce didn't say anything. He thought Clark was pretty good now, at least for the people on Earth. The newly born Doomsday is no match for Superman. He is at a disadvantage in terms of strength. Doomsday, who was thrown away by Superman, was knocked back to the wall and a large amount of electric sparks splashed. Just when Superman wanted to attack Doomsday's chest with a headbutt, he was grabbed by Doomsday. Doomsday jumped up, grabbed Superman, knocked the top of the spaceship open, and threw Superman out in the air. Superman fell from the air like a cannonball and smashed a big hole on the ground. Metropolitan residents, RNM. Come again. Doomsday also landed in front of Superman, and the place where the two of them landed was exactly the park commemorating Superman, the one with the huge black marble statue of Superman. Doomsday stared at the statue blankly for a second, then turned his head and looked at Superman. Doomsday, what are you looking at? The helicopter not far away discovered the abnormality here and used a searchlight to check the situation here. Superman was embarrassed by Doomsday, although he did not suffer any substantial damage. Superman, what's wrong with looking at you? Doomsday, let's take another look. Superman, take my punch. However, Superman's previous all-powerful moves were useless in front of Doomsday. His fist hit Doomsday's chest without any pain. Perhaps the effect of kryptonite has not worn off yet, or after combining the blood of the Earthlings, Doomsday's combat power is no weaker than Zod at the time, and may even be better in terms of strength attributes. Facing Superman's attack, Doomsday was not knocked out like Zod at the time, but relied on his physique to withstand the attack, grabbed Superman's cape, and threw Superman out. The fight between the two did not cause substantial damage to either side, but it was like this for the surrounding environment. The entire Superman memorial was instantly destroyed beyond recognition. Those who didn't know would have thought it was going to be demolished. Doomsday picked up a stone pillar that was about the same height as him and threw it at Superman. Superman was hit by another huge stone pillar before he could recover from the blow. The stone pillar fell down like a tombstone and hit Superman like a coffin board, but Doomsday's attack did not stop. Doomsday grabbed Superman's legs, lifted him up, spun him twice in the air, and threw him out fiercely. Superman's steel body knocked down the marble statue used for memorial, and then crashed into a tall building in the distance. The helicopter just now dared to approach the battle between the two without knowing whether to live or die. Doomsday saw the approach of the helicopter, and did not let it go. He jumped up with his strong body, and passed through the helicopter, and he became a gorgeous firework in the city. Doomsday did not master the ability to fly. He crashed into a tall building, and stopped due to the strong inertia, and let out a deafening roar on the top floor. Chapter 685, Godzilla, Long Lost. The president called. Calvin's secretary saw the phone number and said, "What the hell is that?" Calvin. Doomsday and Superman's fighter jets were fighting in the city. Of course, the president of the United States knew the news, so he called to inquire. These are live images from the top of the Lex Group Tower in the center of Metropolis. Military aircraft have arrived at the scene. Calvin was attracted by the news on TV before he replied to the president's message. A monster the size of a giant was waving its claws on the top of the Lex Group Tower. That action was so good that King Khan could call it an expert. Countless police cars and helicopters rushed here after receiving the news. On the other side, the police who rushed to the dock met Martha, who stopped the car. "Are you injured, ma'am?" "I'm fine. Don't worry, you'll be fine, ma'am." The police also comforted Martha, who looked unwell. The sound of the bat fighter flying attracted the attention of the two. The two watched it leave here, and Martha was out of danger. This thing just appeared at the place where the Kryptonian spacecraft crashed a few minutes ago. Fortunately, the people working in the city center have already gone off work, and the place is almost empty. Military aircraft. Those are Apache helicopters. They just arrived at the scene. In the image, Diana was packing her luggage on a civilian aircraft, but she was soon attracted by the content of the news. On the top floor of the Tower of Lex Group, a military helicopter launched an attack on this monster under the order of the troops. The missile hit Doomsday's body without even breaking the skin. Doomsday picked up something on the ground and threw it at the helicopter to shoot it down, turning it into a ball of fire in the air. This thing will evolve. Doomsday's appearance is hard not to remind people of the previous Leafrot. Although this thing is definitely not as oppressive as the Leafrot, it is really hard not to think of the Leafrot when it evolves after being attacked. It shouldn't be another unlimited evolution like Leafu, right? Definitely not. If I guess correctly, the next story is that Bruce, Diana, and Clark will fight Doomsday together. It is possible that they will also bring the remaining 3 people in Luthor's database. A large number of fighters flew over to attack Doomsday, and endless artillery fire covered Doomsday's body. However, because Doomsday was a deformed creature transformed from Zod's corpse, he was at least at the level of a Kryptonian warrior. The Earth's artillery could not penetrate his defense at all. This intensity of attack would only make him stronger and stronger. The red light emanating from Doomsday's chest became brighter and brighter under the bombardment of the guide egg. Finally, it reached a critical point during the bombardment. Doomsday stood up and roared. The energy generated by the missile explosion just now was absorbed and transformed by him, as if an endless torrent of energy was pouring out from under him. The hot energy from the roof of the Lex Group covered a large area around it, and all the surrounding buildings and the helicopter that attacked just now disappeared. We have lost contact with Metropolis Channel 8 News, and we are still unsure of what happened. Diana looked at the screen with a stern expression. The destructive power of Doomsday reminded her of theirs. What happened over there? Alfred. Batman saw the destruction caused by Doomsday when he drove a fighter plane from a distance. The energy of destruction could be seen from a long distance. How should I put it? Hearing Bruce's question, Alfred didn't know how to describe the scene. The airspace of Metropolis is temporarily closed. Please stay in your seat. Diana finally couldn't help but prepare for the plane with her luggage. The flight attendant found her. Please stay in your seat. Please stay. Diana ignored her and left here directly. The Lex building, which had been intact just now, became dilapidated and still burning after being ravaged by Doomsday. Doomsday stood on the roof and roared excitedly at the destruction he had caused. But before he could vent his anger, someone suddenly rushed out from under his feet in the building below him and took him to the East Coast. In the sky, Superman had already woken up and pushed Doomsday's waist to bring him to the sky. Even though Doomsday had strength not inferior to Superman, he could not fly yet. He was pushed away by Superman because he could not use his strength in the air. Sir, look, they have left the city. The military personnel who had been monitoring this place discovered Superman's movements. He seems to be pushing it into space. The minister felt what Superman wanted to do. We can launch the nuclear bomb directly, Mr. President. Another military personnel on the side put forward his own opinion. Not yet. Are you crazy? The minister strongly opposed this person's suggestion. They are flying high enough. We can blow them up without causing any casualties, sir. There is one casualty, Mr. President. Superman. May God have mercy on all of us. On the phone, only the voice of the president praying came. He has agreed to the request to launch the nuclear bomb. It has been activated. The weapon is in place, sir. At the president's command, the soldiers under his command quickly prepared to launch the nuclear bomb. Fire. The president's cold voice came from the phone, and the nuclear bomb has been activated. This is the ultimate weapon of mankind. This scene, I'm familiar with it. Tony said with disdain. They think nuclear bombs are invincible, so they will throw nuclear bombs as soon as there is a situation. When they find that nuclear bombs can't solve the problem, they will start to surrender. Captain America, forget it. At least they didn't throw nuclear bombs directly into the city. Godzilla, I'm familiar with this. Peter Parker, Godzilla, you are back. Godzilla, well, I'm back from the Great Library, and I've gained a lot. Godzilla blinked in the sea. This time, his experience in the Great Library was indeed quite strange. First, he met Wukong and Pension, and then he read many books, which made him learn a lot of knowledge. With the martial arts book that Wukong gave him, Godzilla felt that he would soon be able to reach the level of pinning King Ghidorah to the ground and hammering him. Chapter 686, Wonder Woman appears. Doomsday was thrown out of the Earth by Superman. Seeing that the nuclear bomb behind was about to catch up, Superman did not dodge, but chose to hold Doomsday tightly, so that he would be hit by the nuclear bomb together. Boom. After the ultimate weapon of mankind hit the target, it emitted infinite light and heat. The originally dark sky was illuminated into orange and yellow. People in the city looked up at this rare scene. Batman arrived here at this time. Seeing the mushroom cloud in the sky, he certainly knew that it was produced by the explosion of the nuclear bomb. He did not want to talk about it. I have a question. Can Clark withstand a nuclear bomb? Clark could not answer this question because he had not tried it himself. He only knew that it would be useless if someone launched a nuclear bomb on him. That thing was too slow. A sneak attack might blow him up. If he wanted to attack from a distance like that, he was much faster than a nuclear bomb. After the explosion, an object emitting light and heat with a long tail flame fell from the sky. After landing on the ground, it set off flames, dust, and shock waves that covered the sky. Number 1 projectile was hit and fell, hitting the ground. Stricker's Island, east of Metropolis. No one lives there for the time being. Number 2, no trace at the moment. A woman reported to the president the effects of the previous nuclear bomb. Number 2, Superman. Mr. President, does the missile refer to Superman? Sir, it's moving. A soldier in the headquarters found that Doomsday, which fell in the east of Metropolis, seemed to be still alive. The radar on the map showed that the other party was still active. Just in the east of Metropolis, the nuclear bomb did not kill Doomsday as imagined. Doomsday struggled to get up from the ground. Although his body was riddled with holes, he was not dead yet. The high temperature and radiation shock of the nuclear bomb did cause great damage to him. His original skin and flesh quickly rotted under the impact of radiation. If it was a normal creature, Doomsday would have been finished. But it was not normal. The decay of the body is just a necessary process of evolution for Doomsday. The original Doomsday may not have evolved so fast, but the nuclear bomb hitting his face made him evolve again. When he stood up, he trembled all over, and the skin on his body kept falling off, just like a metamorphosis. In the explosion of the nuclear bomb, Doomsday not only did not die, but gained more powerful power. Doomsday absorbed the energy generated by the nuclear bomb explosion, and orange-yellow lightning burst out from his body in all directions. His eyes seemed to have Superman's laser eyes emitting orange-yellow light, and it became stronger. The evolved and stronger Doomsday roared to the sky, and a lightning beam turned from thin to thick, and pierced the sky, and finally turned directly into a semicircular energy field, to completely destroy the entire area. I think that our Ultra Warriors don't fight with such a big battle. Hikari couldn't help suffocating when looking at the evolved Doomsday on the screen. Although this level of attack may only barely break the defense of a scientist like him, this battle is indeed much stronger than their fight. In his impression, the only bigger battle than this one, apart from the battle between Noah and Zaki, was the Ultra Bomb used by Taro and Belia in the Ultra Galaxy Legend. Ace, we mainly have to protect the environment of the Earth. Generally speaking, there are not so many restrictions in outer space. However, why do the monsters in our world also subconsciously restrain their power? Ace, even if monsters have feelings, the Ultra Beasts don't. The visual impact of the destruction caused by Doomsday is one of the best. They have seen bigger scenes in terms of scenes. Even in this live broadcast, the battle in the River God world was larger than this scale. However, in terms of visual impact, Doomsday's performance is unprecedentedly strong. The video continues, and Superman, who was entangled with Doomsday in space, was of course hit by the nuclear bomb, but he was not a monster like Doomsday. In the silent space, Superman floated in the air powerlessly. His dry skin and the whole person were motionless like a mummy, as if he was dead. They thought that the nuclear bomb would not harm Clark, but now it seems that he was directly made into a mummy. What a great hair. The River God's eyes lit up, and it seemed that a ray of light flashed across the River God's face. Unexpectedly, his hair is not messy in this situation. Teach me how to keep my hairstyle. You can always trust the River God. The shock wave is getting stronger and stronger. Every time we hit it, it will only make it stronger. We can't attack. After seeing Doomsday's performance, the minister discovered that this monster can absorb their attacks to make himself stronger. What do you mean, Calvin? It means that this thing can't be killed. Batman drove the Batfighter to here after seeing the fire falling from the sky and found the monster Doomsday in a cloud of dust and fire. After discovering the Batfighter, Doomsday's eyes flashed yellow. Unlike Superman's heat ray, the light beam shot towards Batman. Batman immediately chose to dodge. As we all know, Batman's movement has always been good. If one day Batman doesn't dodge, then the opponent's attack will definitely go around Batman. An 8-year-old child who wishes to remain anonymous praised his skill. Omega Ray. Master Wayne. Can you get my signal? Alfred asked after noticing the movement. Alfred. This is a product of Krypton. Only weapons made of kryptonite can kill it. Batman saw that this monster had fire in its eyes like Superman and instantly realized that it was a product of Krypton. Maybe. If you still have some left. I still have one bullet left. That spear. Alfred's spear is made of pure kryptonite and was left in Gotham. If I can pierce the skin, I can kill it. Batman thought of the kryptonite spear that was abandoned in Gotham before, which was a weapon that could kill this monster. In theory, it is true. I have to lure it to chase me back to Gotham, back to the vicinity of kryptonite. Gotham. It doesn't matter if this bat doesn't exist. After figuring out the key to the matter, Batman drove his fighter back and provoked Doomsday with a machine gun, successfully attracting Doomsday. In response to Batman's provocation, Doomsday said, "It's okay, just be more careful in the next life." Doomsday kicked his legs and actually learned to fly. In the air, Doomsday released a yellow beam of light to sweep the Batfighter. Of course, as long as Batman didn't want to hit it, how could such a level of attack work? The dazzling beam of light was so bright that it could almost blind people, just like the sun in the sky. The sun's rays shone on Superman's body, and the dry skin on his face gradually became full, and his complexion gradually recovered. Suddenly, a pair of red spots appeared on Superman's face. That was Superman laser light. The Batfighter was shot down. Of course, this was also part of Batman's plan. LUOG called him an expert. Oh, damn it. Batman was trapped in the broken fighter, and Doomsday landed not far from him, still gathering the energy of his eyes. Seeing that the other party was about to launch an energy beam, Batman quickly raised his hands and planned to take the energy beam that could cut gold and jade with his bare hands. Shouldn't you be standing there without understanding, and then the energy beam will automatically go around you? The River God asked. Bruce said helplessly, "Don't make trouble. Believe me, you are Batman." The energy beam went straight to Batman's face. Although according to the thickness, it is estimated that, if it hits Batman, it will be lucky to have half of his body left. At the critical moment, a figure rushed down from the sky and blocked the energy of the beam. Mr. Clark is back. No. Those with better eyesight, such as Ikari and Ace, or Clark, saw the other person clearly. Exciting music sounded, the smoke and dust dissipated, and a person crossed his hands into an X. The silver bracelets on the wrists of his arms were still emitting a little red light due to the previous high temperature impact. Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. It's my turn. Diana, who was sitting on the Wayne Group's private plane returning to Paradise Island, was a little surprised. She didn't expect that she would have to save the situation at this time. Touching the silver bracelet on her wrist, Diana was full of fighting spirit. Although she had fought countless masters in the Golden Man arena, there was really nothing that could really satisfy her except Hulk. Fortunately, the guy who claimed to be a powerful cosmic man told her that this was just her primary field and she would meet stronger opponents in the future. As a woman who won 100 consecutive victories in the arena, Diana has the right to enter the arena freely to participate in the battle. Of course, the top priority now is to return to Paradise Island to confirm the safety of the Mother Box in the upcoming invasion of Darkseid. Guardian Silver Bracelet. Bruce knew this piece of equipment of Diana. To be precise, all of Diana's equipment had backups and detailed data with Bruce. Because he had to face the Kryptonians, and because of the screening room, Bruce invited Diana to join his alliance a long time ago. When Diana agreed, Bruce got all the other parties' data with peace of mind. The silver bracelet is one of Diana's most commonly used and most powerful equipment. It is made from the remnants of Zeus' shield, the Aegis. Athena and Hephaestus made it into a silver bracelet to reward the most brave and skilled Amazon warriors. This chapter is full of memes, so I'll explain it a bit. The complaints about Batman are mainly memes, so don't take them too seriously, and don't take them too seriously. Chapter 687. We are a team of 3. When the silver bracelets are crossed and placed on the chest, they can also trigger defense, forming a protective force field like Zeus's shield. The defensive power of the protective force field is extremely strong, and the protective area is much larger than itself. The force field can cover about twice Diana's height. Bruce was already familiar with Diana's equipment information, so he was even more afraid of the power of Doomsday's laser beam. This thing can turn the protective silver bracelets red, and it is afraid that it will turn a human into ashes. Looking at Doomsday, Wonder Woman shouted angrily, and the protective silver bracelets on her wrists collided fiercely, causing a huge shockwave and flash, and forcibly repelled Doomsday, who was extremely powerful, by dozens of meters. This is another effect of the protective silver bracelet. When the silver bracelets collide, they can cause lightning and thunder, because it is made of the materials left over from the creation of Zeus's shield Aegis. Not only is the defensive power amazing, but it also has the ability to communicate with Zeus's power. Diana on the private plane felt a little strange. The protective silver bracelet was clearly her own equipment, but why did she feel that Bruce knew more about the protective silver bracelet? I only lent the silver bracelet to Bruce for research for a short period of time. The video continues. Doomsday confronts Wonder Woman for a moment, and a stream of light cuts through the night sky, directly knocking Doomsday into a biochemical factory. Trivia: this is one of the origins of the Joker in the comics. The fire instantly engulfs everything around, leaving only a figure wearing a cloak. Louise saw all this from a long distance, and in an instant she realized what she should do. Go get that spear. She rushed directly into the original waterway, not caring even if she fell down the slide in the waterway, because the spear was related to the lives of countless people. Good. Bruce's eyes were full of admiration. I didn't expect Lois's reaction speed to be so fast. She realized in an instant that she had to get the spear. Janitor asked puzzledly, how did Lois know to get the spear? This is just a precautionary measure and guess. First of all, the opponent can fight back and forth with Superman, which means his strength is extremely terrifying. The only one who can do this is Zod, who is also a Kryptonian. Lois will naturally go to get the Kryptonite spear. Lois found a place to hide the Kryptonite spear. In order to prevent me from not being able to find the spear, when I go to look for it, Lois will naturally go once. If she finds it, everyone will be happy. If she can't find it, then whether Lois comes or not is the key to turning the tide of the battle. Loki Odinson, how did she know that the opponent must use the Kryptonite spear? If she doesn't use it, she will put herself in an extremely dangerous situation. Bruce Wayne, I said that humans are brave. It was difficult for everyone to refute Bruce's words. A real ordinary person dared to intervene in the battle of a group of monsters that destroyed the world. This was already a great courage. Moreover, before that, she thought of the role of the Kryptonite spear in an instant, and dared to take action for an unclear guess. What else could this be if not courage? Not only was there courage, but also wit. Ordinary people were shocked when they saw this scene, let alone thinking about the kryptonite spear. The video continues. Why did you lead it back to the city? Diana didn't understand why Batman led this monster from the wilderness to this place. The port has been abandoned. There are weapons here that can kill him. After Batman escaped from the predicament, he sorted out his weapons, the special kryptonite bullet. On the other side, Lois came to the place where she had discarded the kryptonite spear just now. She threw the thing into a deep water, and it was a little difficult to find now. Did you find the spear? Superman landed in front of Batman and asked if he had found the key weapon. I was a little busy just now. Hayek, I was a little busy just now. Loek, I almost broke down just now. This creature, seems to rely on absorbing energy to survive. Facing this unknown monster, Diana discovered some of his special features. This thing comes from another world. Batman took out a gun specially used for kryptonite bullets and loaded the last kryptonite bullet. Superman on the side said with an unpleasant face, my world. I have killed things from other worlds before. Diana took out the long sword on her back with a grim face, holding the divine shield in her left hand and the sword of Vulcan in her right hand, ready to fight. The sound of the sword of Vulcan coming out of its sheath was particularly pleasant. The shield is a divine shield, made of a mysterious metal on the Amazon island by the god of fire. It has unparalleled defense and an extremely sharp edge, and can also be used as a dart. Captain America nodded, indicating that he was familiar with this. That sword is not ordinary either. Bruce continued to introduce, it is the sword of Vulcan. It was produced by Hephaestus, the god of fire in Greek mythology. It is Wonder Woman's main attack artifact. It can chop from the subatomic level, which is basically equivalent to being able to chop everything. Cutting iron like mud and being indestructible is just the most basic ability. Is she yours? Superman looked at the domineering female warrior in front of him and asked with some confusion. I thought she was yours. Batman was also confused. When had he ever seen such a fierce woman who could fight Doomsday wearing a medieval armor? The three of them stood in position. Diana was in the front as the main attacker. Batman stood on the right with a weapon containing kryptonite ready to attack, and Superman stood on the left with his hands folded. The three people's positions from left to right can be summarized as aliens, old men holding swords and shields, and local tyrants. We are a team of three. I didn't expect Diana to be the main attacker. There's nothing strange about that. Superman and Doomsday are of the same origin. When they fight, Superman won't be able to move forward if he takes out kryptonite. Bruce has kryptonite and extremely strong fighting skills, but he's just an ordinary man after all. Doomsday can beat him to ashes with a beam of light. The only one who can be the main fighter is Diana. When we went to negotiate with Zod, Clark was not in an advantageous geographical location, so Diana was the main attacker. The energy reaction on Doomsday became even stronger. The orange-yellow lightning energy field spread from Doomsday in all directions, engulfing everything around him in the storm of destruction. Batman rolled over and hid in the fortifications. When he saw this, Diana raised the divine shield, and Superman directly resisted it with his body. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 688, Death of Superman, The Fall of a God. Clark, I'm just as brave. The ruins of the building were destroyed by the energy field. Even Lois, who was looking for the kryptonite spear, felt a strong vibration. Only the stone slab where Batman hid was not damaged. Look. The river god pointed at the stone slab excitedly and said, I said that the energy field and other attacks will avoid you. It seems so. Hickory looked carefully. Although the energy field swept over the stone slab where Batman hid, the stone slab was not damaged at all. The passionate music sounded again, and the figure of Wonder Woman holding the power shield appeared in the smoke. This seemed to be her exclusive music. Generally speaking, the appearance of this music means that she is going to show off. After being impacted by the energy field, the power shield was just a little red, just like the previous protective silver bracelet. Looking at Doomsday, who had grown a circle bigger, Wonder Woman let out a war cry and instantly broke through the sound barrier to kill Doomsday. Superman followed closely behind him, and while Doomsday was distracted by Wonder Woman, he went around behind Doomsday. Wonder Woman was smaller and more flexible than Doomsday. She slid and pierced Doomsday's foot with the Vulcan sword, cutting his tendons. Generally speaking, ordinary enemies would be crippled after being hit by this move, but Doomsday inherited the Kryptonian's recovery ability, and he recovered from his wounds in just a few painful breaths. However, the two of them continued to attack with the mentality of knocking the enemy to death. Superman punched Doomsday, and the shockwave caused by the two instantly cleared the surrounding flying ash and dust. Diana took the opportunity to hold the divine shield and cut Doomsday's legs again. Ace, good. Just cut off the opponent's limbs and then use a powerful skill to directly beat him to ashes. Bruce Wayne, I'm really curious about what kind of Buddhism you are learning. Ace, I'm writing the Purdue Sutra recently. Bruce Wayne. Peter Parker, Mr. Ace is dealing with monsters like super beasts that have no emotions or pain, so it's normal for him to be a little ruthless. I don't think we should show mercy to war weapons like Barabbas. Ace, that's right. And we must pay attention to finishing off the enemy. The video continues, but Doomsday quickly woke up after the pain, picked up the car on the ground, and threw it at Diana. Diana raised the Vulcan sword and cut the car in two, but was also repelled. Superman, who was flying by, was also caught by one leg and thrown out. As an ordinary person, Batman can't intervene in the front battlefield at all. He can only wander around the edge and try to find a suitable position for a sneak attack. The current situation on the field is basically Wonder Woman and Diana alone, with the remaining two big men. Superman is strong, but lacks combat experience, and Bruce is experienced in combat, but can't intervene at all. Diana, who combines the advantages of the two, has become the C-position daddy on the field. Superman flew out at supersonic speed and went around. His eyes burst out strong laser beams to attack Doomsday. Facing Superman's laser beam, Doomsday also used the same method to fight back against Superman. But compared with Doomsday, Superman's laser beam was like a faucet in front of a high-pressure water gun. It could hit, but it could only hit a little bit by relying on its position. Since ancient times, the left side will lose. Superman occupied the left side and stalemated in midair with Doomsday's laser beam, but it was obviously unable to hold on. Batman was considering whether to go to Arkham to get a few friendly citizens to help. Superman relied on his own energy to still fail to defeat Doomsday after a short stalemate. He was honored to join the Dyna team and was knocked out and rubbed hard on the ground. Wonder Woman quickly took over. Although he was knocked away, Superman was still unharmed, and even his hairstyle did not change. He flew high into the sky and prepared to use the high altitude position to bring a wave of justice from the sky, but at this moment Superman heard Lois's cry for help. It turned out that Lois had just dived into the water in order to find the kryptonite spear, but she did not carry any diving equipment and had only received some basic diving training. Fortunately, she had a plug-in. A Superman boyfriend. Superman came to the pool and lifted the stone covering the water surface and rescued Lois, who was trapped in the water. After Lois woke up, he gently put her on the ground and jumped into the water. Lois took a few breaths of fresh air. After ensuring Lois's safety, Superman dived into the water. He was going to find kryptonite. After Superman went in, Lois looked at the water surface with great concern, because she knew that Clark would lose his power after encountering kryptonite. On the battlefield, after Superman left here, Doomsday once again repelled Wonder Woman, and then Doomsday set his sights on Batman, who was standing aside. Batman saw that things were not good, and avoided Doomsday's attack in a predictive manner. Batman came to the building nearby through the hook, and hadn't caught his breath yet, when Doomsday's laser beam came again. Although he dodged it, he was still hurt, and fell to the ground. Wonder Woman had a face full of MMP. One teammate was slacking off, and the other was AFK in a 3-person team. This battle was really impossible to win. Clark. Louise lay on the shore, and looked into the water. Suddenly, Superman's figure emerged from the water and slowly floated up. Lois dragged Superman out of the water with difficulty. After watching for a while, she remembered to take the kryptonite spear away from her, picked up the spear, and threw it towards the open space next to her. As soon as the kryptonite spear left Superman, he regained consciousness. Is the restraining effect of this thing so strong? Looking at Clark, who woke up instantly after using kryptonite, everyone's belief in the restraining effect of kryptonite on Kryptonians was once again raised to a higher level. I was misled by the name. Tony said, I always thought kryptonite was the stone of Krypton. This thing was created when the world engine transformed the Earth, but now it seems that this thing is more like a radioactive energy source, just like the harm of nuclear fuel to humans. It's not like Clark hasn't breathed the air of Krypton before, and it's not so uncomfortable after adapting, but kryptonite is simply poisonous to Clark. Clark, are you okay? Lois rushed over when she saw Superman wake up. Superman gave her a reluctant smile. Now his body is still very weak and can only look at the battlefield in the distance. After Superman left the battle, only Wonder Woman Diana was able to fight Doomsday. The two kept fighting. Wonder Woman was hit and flew away with a happy smile on her face. Diana on the plane saw herself smiling on the screen and smiled too. This is the joy of meeting a strong man. She hasn't met a strong man who is difficult to deal with for a long time. Hulk is one, and this Doomsday is also one. Note 1. After being thrown out by Doomsday, Wonder Woman half lay on the ground, smiled evilly, picked up the fallen sword, and took advantage of Doomsday's inertia to slash at his swinging fist. Under the subatomic level of the Vulcan sword and the inertia, Doomsday's arm was also cut off. The Vulcan sword is actually enough to kill Kryptonians. Just when Wonder Woman wanted to take advantage of the victory and slash at the monster's head, she was hit by the ray and flew away. The wound on her right hand, which had just been cut off, was still squirming. The first thing that protruded was a sharp bone spur, followed by black flesh and blood. After a while, it grew back and became stronger. No, Clark, you can't go. Superman saw this scene, although his body was still a little weak, but he decided to help. Now he has realized what will happen next. This is my world, and you are my world. I love you. No. No. Clark, you can't do this. Lois heard Superman suddenly say this, and the smart girl looked at the monster not far away and understood Clark's idea. Please, Clark. Lois begged Clark not to sacrifice herself. Although Clark was very reluctant, he finally let go of Lois's hand, slowly flew up, and grabbed the kryptonite spear. What a man. Kryptonite has risen to the level of a radioactive weapon used exclusively against Kryptonians in everyone's mind. Although they don't know what radioactivity is, at least they know the concept of toxicity. Clark took off with the toxicity. In the center of the battlefield, Doomsday was ready to explode his accumulated energy, but was tightly tied up by Wonder Woman with a lasso of truth and trapped in place. The two were wrestling, and Doomsday immediately broke free from Wonder Woman's restraints. That's the lasso of truth. It was made by Hephaestus, the god of fire, using the golden corset of Gaia, the goddess of the earth. It is unbreakable and can be extended infinitely at will. People trapped by the lasso can only tell the truth. Of course, the words asked by the lasso of truth cannot be used as evidence in court. Cold knowledge. Dr. William Moulton Marston, the creator of the character of Wonder Woman, is also the inventor of the lie detector. At the critical moment, a bullet hit Doomsday's head, and the green kryptonite powder gas enveloped him. Doomsday instantly deflated, and could not stand up. The weak Doomsday was unable to break free from the lasso of truth, and was firmly controlled by Diana. The tacit cooperation between Batman and Wonder Woman gave Superman the best opportunity. He raised the kryptonite spear with difficulty and rushed straight to Doomsday's chest despite the interference of kryptonite radiation. The spear easily pierced Doomsday's chest. Doomsday was like a balloon that was punctured and deflated, with orange-yellow lightning energy overflowing. At this moment, Doomsday was already several meters tall, like a little giant. Superman, who was 1.8 meters tall, was the difference between a child and an adult man in front of Doomsday. The fatally wounded Doomsday roared and broke free from his restraints. Although the kryptonite spear was still stuck in his chest, it still used its sharp palm that had grown back after being cut off by Wonder Woman to pierce Superman's chest in its last moments before death. Clark. Mr. Clark. It's broken. Clark was no different from an ordinary person in front of kryptonite. He was able to fly at high speed with the kryptonite spear and insert it into Doomsday's body, which meant that Clark had exploded to his limit. Now Clark was affected by kryptonite and was no different from an ordinary person. Everyone was heartbroken, and Clark in the Batcave calmed down and looked normal after a brief shock. Your reaction is better than I expected. Facing Alpha's words, Clark said, I think I'm ready to sacrifice. My biological father told me that I would create a hope worth fighting for them, and I did it. Clark clenched his fists. He was thinking, if one day he wanted to sacrifice like Superman on the screen, would he go back and do it himself? Clark was not sure before, but now after seeing the sacrifice of another self, Clark cleared the fear in his heart and was no longer afraid of the unknown future and the appearance of death. Clark is now very sure that he can have the courage to sacrifice. Clark Kent, Bruce, did you see it? Exclamation mark. I'm brave too. As brave as the people on Earth. Image continues. After being injured, Superman wanted to push Doomsday's arm away, but the kryptonite was in front of him, and he had no strength to get rid of it. After trying, he realized that he could not escape. He grabbed the bone spur on Doomsday's arm, tightly grasped the kryptonite spear in his hand, and stabbed the spear in his hand into Doomsday's chest with all his strength. Superman's face was tense, and he gritted his teeth. He thrust the kryptonite spear in his hand into Doomsday's body. In endless pain, Superman succeeded. The kryptonite spear pierced through Doomsday's heart and pierced out from Doomsday's back. Doomsday wailed feebly and tried to make a final resistance, but finally fell to the ground feebly. Superman also wailed. The wailing of the death of the god of the world awakened the 3 sleeping mother boxes and announced to the demons among the stars that the Earth had lost its guardian. The catastrophe is coming. Bruce stood up with a bang. This sentence was written directly on the side of the projection room as a narration. At this moment, it was no longer a hint, but a clear indication. Doomsday fell down, and Superman was also pierced through the chest by his arm, and fell to the ground. His eyes had lost their former look. Batman and Wonder Woman rushed over and looked at the body in front of them silently. When Lois waited until everything calmed down, she rushed here. Lois was a very confident woman. Seeing Diana's expression, she already understood what happened. In front of the cross, Batman put Superman's body down from above. Diana and Lois caught him. Lois saw Clark's body and her emotions were a little fluctuating. Tears came out of her eyes. Finally, she hugged Clark's body and buried her head. God on Earth, Superman, Clark Kent, Godfall. Don't retreat anymore. Hulk can't beat Doomsday. Drag out those who are stronger than him. Hey, boss. Chapter 689. Changes in Thanos' world. Seeing the sad look on Louise's face on the screen, the theater was silent. Clark Kent, don't be sad, everyone. I'm not dead yet, Logan. I don't think the word man can be used to describe you. You are a saint, Clark Kent. I'm not a saint or a god. I'm just an ordinary person. I can be happy, angry, and I can kill people because of excitement. There is no need to lift me up too high, Wanda. Just admit it. The theater personally named you as the god of the world, Ganatha. That's right. In our universe, your strength is at least a sub-father. Although there is a weakness like kryptonite, our universe does not have it. When you come to us later, I will let my dad give you a wave of cosmic energy, and you will be promoted to the father level directly on the spot. Ganatha, the father level is a strong man who can protect a starfield. In the eyes of ordinary life, there is no difference between him and the gods. Loki's father, Odin, the king of the 9 realms, is an extremely powerful father level strong man. Jandatha, actually, I also have a quota for an emissary. If you don't want to work for my father, I'll give you my quota. Loki Odinson, you are lucky. You directly took a quota for Galactus. You get the position of Heavenly Father. Although you can't compare with my father, God King Odin, you are above all living beings. Loki Odinson, when my father was young, he could fight against Galactus without losing. Jandatha, really? Exclamation mark. My father never told me this. Loki Odinson, and the power of our Risi will increase with age. Maybe my father can already kill Galactus. Jandatha, hey. Thanos frowned after reading Loki's words, but considering that the world is different, he didn't tell them about the battle between Odin and Galactus in their world. Anyway, as far as he knew, Odin in their world was a reckless man when he was young. When he heard that Galactus was eating in the universe, he took Kanguni and went up to fight him. The specific situation was unknown. Anyway, Asgard was under martial law for a long time. My lord. Ebony Maw looked horrified and even shouted to Thanos without hesitation, "Something big has happened. What's wrong? Speak slowly." Ebony Maw took out a list and said, "Look." It was the list of biological weapons of Temple Second. Thanos took a look and said, "Are there any problems?" "Yes." Ebony Maw said with horror, "My lord, don't you think there are too few people on this list?" "Too few?" Thanos picked up the list and compared it carefully, and his eyes widened suddenly. His Temple Second raised countless biological weapons. Although these guys had no names, they were numbered. And now, there are only 2 or 3 big cats and kittens left in the huge biological weapon group. Randomly Thanos realized a more serious problem. Where are Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, and Ebony? Gone, all gone. Then, where is Gamora? Gamora is hanging out with that descendant of the gods who claims to be Star-Lord. Thanos picked up the face and tried to compare something. He vaguely remembered that he should have a useless goddaughter. I should have another goddaughter. Who is she? Your subordinates don't know. Damn it. Thanos called up the database. He personally appointed the 4 ebony generals, and there must be information about them in the database. But he could only find the names of 3 people and couldn't find any other information. Thanos thought the database was invaded, but Ebony Maw's information was full, from photos to physical data. He would never list a separate database for Ebony Maw, and he couldn't even remember the appearance of the other 3 of the 4 ebony generals. No, he could still remember. He had watched the video in the screening room and saw his 4 men being sent to Earth one by one when fighting for the Infinity Stones. Even Ebony Maw was praised for it. But that's all. Louise looked at Wonder Woman with a sad face, hoping that she could find a way to save Clark, but Wonder Woman could only give a helpless expression, and Diana's face was not looking good at the moment. This scene reminded her of some bad memories. Batman came over, and at this moment he truly recognized Superman. The 3 of them surrounded Clark, and the cross behind Bruce fell on Clark's body with a faint light. Batman stood in the light, forming a scene like a classical oil painting. Knight, goddess, lover and dedicated god strongly recommend watching this scene in the original book. There is an indescribable beauty. Dawn of Justice End. This screening is officially over, and now the card drawing and on-demand session will begin. This time when you go back, you must keep an eye on Luthor, the curly-haired man, and don't let him cause trouble again. Don't worry. Bruce nodded and made an affirmation from Batman. Captain America, Mr. Alfred, Bruce must keep an eye on him when he is in action. Captain America chose to find the parents directly. Thanos, I have a big problem here. Loki Odinson, isn't this the cosmic tyrant? Why did you come to the screening room for help? Ace, Loki, go play. What happened, Thanos? Exclamation mark. Thanos held the tyrant blade, wearing heavy armor, and protected Ebony Maw by his side. When Thanos told the screening room about the situation here, the entire screening room was shocked. Wanda, how come your environment is even weirder than my west view? Did you provoke something you shouldn't provoke? Thanos, I don't know, I don't understand, but the situation is very urgent. Peter Parker, then come to the screening room quickly. It's safe enough here. Thanos, no, I still have a subordinate here. Ebony Maw was moved to tears, and he felt that his death was worth it. Sir, go. Shut up. Time will stop after you leave. Have you forgotten? You have never left me. Go quickly, father. Thanos is not the kind of indecisive person. He knows very well that the longer he delays, the more dangerous it will be. It is better to enter the screening room to find a way out. Take care. Thanos left this sentence and entered the screening room. Seeing Thanos coming in, everyone hurried forward to watch. What's going on? Thanos' face was as cold as ice. Even after entering the screening room, he was still in a highly nervous state. I checked the list of the entire spaceship. Those biological weapons have basically disappeared. Only Ebony Maw is left of the 4 Dark Generals. Moreover, the only information I have about the remaining 3 comes from the content of Infinity Gauntlet for Dark Generals that I watched in the screening room. What about the rest? I don't remember anything. Thanos' words made everyone feel creepy. They have seen killing and bloodshed many times, but how could that kind of direct impact be as terrifying as a silent disappearance from memory? Cinema Hall, do you know what's going on? Unfortunately, the Cinema Hall said nothing. Cinema Hall, can the designated card drawing qualification be transferred? Yes, then I'll transfer it to Thanos. Thanos looked at Diana, nodded to her and said, I owe you a favor. Chapter 690, Missing, Forgetting, and Tears. Diana had not used the designated card drawing qualification before, and she had not thought about what to draw for a while, but she did not expect it to come in handy now. Ace had a face full of regret. If he had known that it would be useful today, he would not have drawn the Buddhist scripture. The same was true for Hikaru. After the 5th live broadcast, he drew a document about the Ultra Metal. How do you think I should draw a card? First of all, the word forget can't be used. It's too general. Loki rarely behaved like a human being. He said, last time I drew a card, the theater wanted to split a word into letters for me to choose. Forgetting doesn't work. Maybe you can give you a potion to forget something. I think the focus now is to find the root cause. Why don't you use the word break the situation? Will this really work? It doesn't work. Let's try it first. Wanda said, I can't use it either. If it doesn't work, I'll give my qualification to this guy. Thanos was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this girl who had a deep hatred for him in a sense would be willing to take the initiative. Thank you for your generosity, Wanda. Don't think too much. I'm just afraid that weird thing will come to my world. I'm not prepared. Thanos didn't say much, just silently noted down this favor. It's bad. Tony suddenly realized something, and his face turned pale instantly. Tony Stark, Captain. I asked you to find Wanda and Pietro. Where are they? Captain America, who was still in the real world, was stunned. What Wanda and Pietro? Tony Stark, have you forgotten? Wanda and Pietro in our world, Wanda told us a long time ago. Hearing this, Captain America remembered that he had not been able to find the person he was looking for with the props given by the screening room. Nick. Captain America shouted directly at the air. He knew that guy would definitely follow the bug. I remember I asked you to do this. No, Captain. Nick's voice really rang out here. I'm busy with vampires now. You never asked me to do this. Captain America said to the wizard on duty, Master Wang, please go back and tell Master Guyi about this. Wang nodded, opened the portal and left. Captain America, Nick said we never looked for him and asked him to look for Wanda and her brother. Tony Stark, impossible. I remember it very clearly. Captain America, could it be that I remembered it wrong? Tony Stark, Captain, you can question my morality, but you can't question my genius brain, because at that time, anyway, I was particularly concerned about this matter at that time, so I specifically looked for it. Captain America, I have asked Master Wang to tell Master Guyi about this. Maybe Master Guyi's Eye of Agamotto can provide help. As soon as these words came out, Tony was still fine, and Strange's legs softened, and he fell to the ground. Master. Mr. Strange, are you okay? Something bad has happened. Strange's pupils dilated, his face was pale, and his whole body was shaking like his hands. Strange, King. King, where are you? King, who? What happened to you? Strange grabbed Thanos' arm, as if he had found a life-saving straw, his lips trembling uncontrollably as he asked incoherently, Thanos, do you remember how many people were there when I sent you the book? Thanos was about to say that it was only you, but he suddenly woke up. Your assistant. Yes. How could the others not know what was going on when they saw this? Someone else was missing, and it was a companion in the screening room. Think about it, Wang. He's the fat taciturn guy. Oh, right. That question in the screening room. Strange stood up and said excitedly, do you remember? The question about how the Mind Stone was destroyed. There were 2 answers that time. It was the first time that there were multiple answers. Wang directly chose all the options. I remember. Master Wang also taught me the Kamatage body training fist at that time. I remember it too. Wanda said with a grim face. When I first got the Chaos Grimoire, the Book of Fire, Wang and Strange helped me translate it together. Everyone gradually began to have an impression of Wang, but it was limited to some people who had a deep communication with Wang. To be precise, those who came in before the 5th live broadcast. Diana, the River God, Dr. Manhattan, Janitor and Godzilla had no impression of Wang at all. Yes, even Dr. Manhattan had no impression. This completely shocked everyone. Dr. Manhattan has always been recognized as the strongest in the screening room, without a doubt, not even Clark. Even this person doesn't remember Wang. Then why do we still remember it? Peter pointed out the blind spot. Although we each have our own characteristics, we can't be stronger than Dr. Manhattan. But even someone as strong as Dr. Manhattan doesn't remember Master Wang. It's because of time. Constantine pointed out the problem sharply. Those of us who can remember Wang have one thing in common. We all came before the 5th live broadcast started. The 5th time. So what happened after the 4th live broadcast ended? Calm down. Everyone calm down. Looking at the panicked crowd, Hikaru quickly stood up and said, now we are facing unpredictable situations, and we should unite and overcome difficulties together. I think we should start from the root cause now. Although we don't know what happened in the 4th live broadcast, we can start with this time node as the center of the investigation. I asked the screening room, and he refused to say anything. Loki walked over and said, I think the problem lies with the people in the 4th live broadcast. Thanos and Strange are in one world, and Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are in another world. Now there are problems with these two worlds, so the question is, what about the worlds of the rest of us? Under Hikaru's guidance, the cinema put aside their prejudices for the first time, and began to work together to overcome the difficulties. Indeed, many things happened after the 4th live broadcast. Thanos said, Loki was attacked by fire giants, frost giants and dark elves during the 5th live broadcast, and then the gatekeeper Heimdall was attacked, and turned into a stone statue. Yes, even Father can't do anything about Heimdall's petrification. Loki said, Father tried every way, including going to the Greek gods, to seek help from Zeus, the king of gods, but Medusa has been dead for many years, her head has turned to stone, and Medusa's power is impossible to make a father-level power like my father helpless. Wait a minute. Loki suddenly thought of something more terrifying. The ruler of darkness also has the ability to petrify. Is this related to Gatangia again? I think the most urgent task is to find out the missing population as soon as possible. No. Everyone come to the screening room. It's the safest here, and time will not pass. Let's discuss it here. When the many talents in the screening room took action, the efficiency was terrifying. Everyone gathered in the screening room, where countless worlds gathered, but they had no idea what they were going to face. Could it be the screening room? I don't think so. There is no need for a screening room. Instead, I feel like he was there just to prevent this kind of situation. I remember now. Strange's face turned pale, and tears welled up in his eyes. I remember what happened. Chapter 691, Insecticide Mode. I once drew a nightmare card, named, Psychic Keen. Those indescribable ancient beings have gone, but their traces remain eternal. Their voices will transcend endless dimensions, and be heard by those with keen minds. Blessed are fools, chaos reigns. Strange's expression became increasingly ferocious as he chanted in a low voice. Bloodshot appeared in his eyes, and something seemed to be wriggling in the skin on his forehead. Abnormal intrusion detected. Insecticide mode activated. A loud thunder sounded, and lightning fell on Strange, knocking him unconscious. Looking at Strange, who was struck by lightning and turned black, but at least returned to normal, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Janitor asked puzzledly, will the screening room guarantee our safety if we don't say anything? What if the screening room can't protect itself? Loki said dimly, the screening room's previous state is different from now. The screening room used to give me the feeling of a fun person, but since this intermission, its activity has decreased. Could it be that something really happened to the screening room? But we are still in the screening room. Maybe the screening room is still operating, but the person who maintains the screening room has an accident. They have also discussed and speculated about the form of the screening room. Some people think that there are people behind the screening room to keep it running, while others think that the screening room itself is a supercomputer maintained by artificial intelligence. Let's analyze the previous performance of the screening room. First of all, the first Deadpool is not right. The story of Deadpool as a wall breaker does not meet the normal broadcast conditions. We can say that we are watching a movie, while Deadpool is a talk show. And the second 100,000 bad jokes too. Although the first part is outrageous but okay, but the creation staff in the latter part is directly upgraded, and even shows that the world of the River God is indeed a comic. But the third story, Man of Steel, is very normal. Could it be that the screening room played too much? The Holy Lord said, Crazy Diversity, Part 1. You all still remember this title. Crazy Diversity. The screening room saw too many crazy things and went crazy? It should be that the screening room noticed something was wrong and gradually reduced the amplitude of the power after the first story, and then the subsequent stories returned to normal. Next time I go to the Great Library, I will ask you for advice. Godzilla said, you are the administrator of the Great Library. It is said that there is no book in the entire library that you have not read. You will definitely be able to give an answer. The screening room signed a contract with me at the time. I will not give rewards for my future stories, and I can choose one more from the 3 rewards. I signed it. Bruce asked, contract, is there anything else in the contract? Yes, it requires me to get along well with other members of the projection room, help each other, that's all. Gulp. Peter swallowed his saliva and said, I feel something is wrong with this. It's like entrusting an orphan to someone. When this word came out, even Peter himself was scared. Yes, entrusting an orphan to someone. It was as if the projection room entrusted everyone to Godzilla. If what Peter said is true, then what is there about Godzilla that is worthy of the projection room's entrustment? The Great Library. Everyone said in unison. The Great Library is a place that is as expressive as the projection room. The old man called Mr. by Godzilla and others is even more mysterious. Could it be that the projection room had long anticipated that something would happen to itself, so it specifically gave Godzilla the qualification to enter the Great Library? But why Godzilla? At this moment, everything was deadlocked. Let's draw the cards first. Seeing that there was no better plan for the time being, Thanos said, if the cinema really had anticipated the current situation a long time ago, I think he should have made certain arrangements. As for the card drawing machine, I always believed that the cinema can manipulate the card output rate of the card drawing machine. Maybe everything we get was arranged by him. Then, was Strange and the changes in your world also arranged by him? This. Loki, what are you doing? Ace asked Loki, who was making ice on the side. I've asked the screening room. Loki didn't stop working. The things we put in the screening room can be kept in the screening room forever. As long as we spend a certain amount of points. My idea is to make a batch of statues of everyone and keep them in the screening room and engrave everyone's information on them so that if we call the roll at the beginning of each screening, we don't have to worry about forgetting anyone. This method is possible, but haven't you considered some simpler solutions? Tony took out the measure in his hand and said, for example, a computer. Prepare one for everyone. Everyone write a list of everyone you need to remember. Loki, please work hard. Hikari asked, how many points do you need? A lot, and points can't be traded. Look, you pay the fee, and use my points to draw cards to make up for the amount you spend, and then we will try our best to let you and Tony answer the questions in the future. How about it? I know that you mortals cannot do without the guidance and leadership of the gods, so let this god guide you. Bruce thought about it, walked to the card drawer, and pulled the lever, but he drew a nightmare card. He also has a nightmare card. Nightmare card, yin and yang manifested. Introduction. Things usually have both positive and negative sides. What is painful to you may be a good thing to another person. Effect. The nightmare card will create a thing that is a great pain to you, but a good thing to someone. You cannot destroy it, but maybe it is not necessarily a bad thing. In short, it all depends on how you think. Looking at this nightmare card, Bruce frowned even more. It is a bad thing for me, but a good thing for someone. What does this mean? Could it be that this is a hint from the cinema? Maybe he will take this opportunity to tell us something. Bruce nodded and then pulled the lever of the reward card again. Unexpectedly, a video on demand coupon appeared this time. You use it. The situation in the cinema is unclear now, and they can only try to find information from some details. Why can't you just say it directly? Maybe it's impossible to say. Jarvis faithfully recorded everything that happened here, and Jarvis would sort out and analyze all this information later to see if he could find important information from it. Just then, Peter exclaimed, "Mr. Strange is awake." Chapter 692. If it were to be broadcast, when Chala became Star-Lord. What happened to me? Strange felt a tingling sensation, as if he was struck by lightning. Mr. Strange, don't you remember what happened before? What happened? Strange tried to recall, and then said, I remember that I just finished watching Dawn of Justice, and then I was struck by lightning and passed out. Constantine stopped Peter from continuing, and said to Strange, Strange, your current situation is more complicated, but please believe me, I won't hurt you. Why are you unconscious? It's better for you not to know. Peter was also very smart, and after a short thought, he understood what Constantine meant. It was obvious that Strange had provoked something he shouldn't have provoked, and if he remembered it, it would have a great impact. So let Strange continue to lose his memory. It would be a pity for Master Wang. Although he didn't know what happened, Strange still chose to believe them. Compared to this as a screening room, it's impossible for him to get into trouble in the screening room. I also have a video on demand coupon. Thanos looked at the video on demand coupon in his hand and took a deep breath. The screening room was definitely going to tell him something. Who will go first? You go first. Bruce signaled Thanos to go first. The disaster situation in his world was more serious. If he went first, he might be able to get more information. Thanos nodded, and without being polite, he directly used the on-demand scroll. Thanos used the on-demand scroll. The on-demand scroll was successful, and what if Black Panther became Star-Lord was played 1 minute later. Black Panther became Star-Lord? Isn't Black Panther the king of Wakanda? Who is Star-Lord? I remember that the guy who eloped with my daughter was nicknamed Star-Lord. Thanos still had some impression of this, mainly because of Gamora. Your daughter? Gamora? Strange said, the girl you sacrificed in the story of the Infinity Gauntlet? Thanos was in a particularly depressed mood. His universe was hit by a natural disaster, and it was very likely that the guy in front of him was the one who caused the disaster. Yes. Suddenly Thanos thought of something, and he couldn't hold it back when he thought of this. He said, remember what Strange said when he went to find Wanda at the end of WandaVision? Well, I remember that I said at that time that I had made a bigger mess. Strange admitted this, but I haven't made a bigger mess now. I have always put the protection of the Earth in the most important position. Thanos was also afraid of stimulating Strange to make him make a bigger mess after returning to the world, so he didn't say much. Of course, Thanos' words were heard by everyone, and combined with the disappearance of Wanda's brothers and sisters in the universe, everyone once again confirmed the culprit. It seems to be very clear. But what about the screening room? Could it be that the screening room can also be dragged into the water by Strange? Hickory released his mind to open a separate chat room and pulled everyone in except Strange. Now it is certain that it was Strange who caused the trouble. Don't be so decisive, Loki. Peter said, I don't think Strange would drag the screening room into the water, no matter how strong he is. The nightmare card was given by the screening room. It's hard to say. Loki said with a cold face, the effect of mental acuity is that Strange can hear things that he can't hear more easily. What if those people happen to hear things that the screening room can't afford to offend? What did Strange hear? Logan said, how could he become like that just by hearing a sound or recalling it, and even let the screening room directly attack him and make him lose his memory? Wait. Logan squinted his eyes and thought of something. I remember that there is a book Beyond Eternity in Charles' library. The book records an old one named Gatanothua, and Gatanothua has the ability to petrify people who stare at him, but the victims still retain their thoughts and perceptions. And there are many old ones like Gatanothua. Logan said, I forgot what it was called. Anyway, it was written by a writer. Gatangia and Gatanothua both have the ability to petrify. The most important thing is that Gatanothor is just the offspring of a guy named Cthulhu, and Cthulhu has many offspring, and Cthulhu is not the strongest of these old ones. The strongest is a man named Azathoth. It is said that the entire universe is Azathoth's dream. When Azathoth wakes up from his sleep, the universe is destroyed. The old ones are just the products of Azathoth's dream. Then what? I just read so much. Logan said, that thing is written in a very weird way. Charles's family only has a few complete books and some scattered manuscripts. I read them as a sleep aid novel, when I can't sleep at night. By the way, there is a very important thing in the old ones. It should be the setting. The existence of the old ones is incomprehensible to humans, so people will go crazy when they see the old ones, and the smarter people are, the crazier they are. This is indeed very similar to what Strange encountered. Hickory said, Strange's memory was directly wiped out, so he won't remember the guy he met, and naturally he won't go crazy. I think the projection room can win against the old ones. Peter said, didn't you hear the projection room directly call that move the insecticide mode? Hey, it started. What if Black Panther becomes Star-Lord? Start broadcasting. Time, space, reality. This is not just a story of one line, but a prism with infinite possibilities. A small choice can derive countless branches of reality. An old voice sounded from outside the screen, and the images of countless characters appeared in the prism on the screen, and then the prism broke. Is that the observer? Yes. It's him, the one who first refused to help me, and then came to me for help in the story of my counterpart. Observer? Janitor said, I know them. They are a very mysterious race that has been observing everything in this world, but they have never taken the initiative to interfere with the progress of this world. Why would they come to ask for help? Strange shrugged and said, who knows, maybe they were beaten and fled in panic. Create a new world outside the world you know. I'm the observer. Let me take you into a new world. Follow me and think about this question. What if? Chapter 693, Crazy Fan Crass. The Milky Way, in your eyes, is nothing but countless small dots of light, but in the multiverse with infinite possibilities, is your fate determined by you, or by your world? Pa. A footprint stepped on the observer's face and splashed water. Unexpectedly, it was just a puddle, and the owner of the foot was walking towards a temple. In the temple, a stone bowl protected by an energy field was taken out by a man in protective clothing with a special tool. Put it down. Several gunmen rushed in aggressively. They were Onan's men. The leader was named Crass. He pointed a gun at the man. As long as the other party did not give a reasonable explanation, they would shoot with a laser rifle and beat the man into SpongeBob SquarePants in the next second. Me. I'm just a garbage collector. The man wore a protective helmet on his face, and only a pair of purple round holes could be seen, but the man's actions and tone were full of endless confidence. But you may have heard of one of my nicknames. The man took off the protective helmet, and the face inside was surprisingly the Black Panther T'Challa. Although I knew it a long time ago, I was still shocked to see this. Tony said, why did T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, go on an adventure in the universe? Remember that sentence? Is your destiny determined by you, or by your world? I think T'Challa in this world must have encountered something different that changed his life. Oh my god, you are Star-Lord. Crass changed his previous appearance and instantly became a fanboy and asked, I'm your superfan. What are you doing here? That's T'Challa. Tony and others recognize the face under them ask at a glance. Black Panther T'Challa, the king of Wakanda. In the story of the Infinity Stones, this king shined brilliantly and was finally turned into ashes by someone's snap of fingers. What if the story is a story of our isotopes, but this is more like Black Panther's isotope? How could it be pointed out by Thanos? It should be, Thanos also has a brand new isotope in this story, and it must be related to the changes of Black Panther. The video continues. This is different from what I thought. Faced with this situation, Star-Lord T'Challa was also a little surprised. Klaus stopped the two dead soldiers beside him, pressed their guns down and said, don't do that, be respectful. This is Star-Lord, the legendary Zhang San. He stole things from the powerful to help the poor. Should we bow together? I think so, or we should kneel down to show respect. With a click, Crass knelt directly. No need for that. T'Challa was stunned. He met many fans, but he had never seen such fanatical fans. So this Star-Lord is a character similar to Robin Hood. Thanos began to think about the Star-Lord in his own world. Compared with this T'Challa, the Star-Lord did not leave a good impression on him. He himself did not approve of the fact that his daughter was abducted by that guy. Tony even said, "I remembered that in the story of the Infinity Gems, Banner was tricked by Rhodes and wanted to kneel down but was stopped. It is somewhat similar to this scene. You're welcome. You are a godlike figure." This is not an official title. It doesn't make me feel comfortable at all when I hear it. Haha. It is said that in the eyes of fans, whatever idols do is right. Cross even stood up and said, "You are worthy of it, Star-Lord. So humble. I really don't want to snatch that thing back from you. Such a powerful thing should be kept by me. But my boss, Ronan, is very interested in it." Cross whispered to Star-Lord T'Challa, "Why don't you let me join you, so that I don't have to do it to you?" I see. The fight for the cosmic orb. Thanos also knew what that was. Now he has no interest in the Infinity Gems, unless the Infinity Gems can help him solve his current situation. The cosmic orb. The cosmic orb is just a carrier. The key point is that it is a container for the Power Stone. Thanos said, "You also know that I once madly pursued the power of the Infinity Stones. At that time, I already knew that the Infinity Stones were the Mind Stone, the Space Stone, the Time Stone and the Power Stone. The Power Stone was later stored on Xandar, so when I took action, I massacred Xandar and stole the Power Stone." "You are really not a good person," Janitor said angrily. "I thought you were different from the madmen in my world, but I didn't expect that you were all murderers. I'm different from him. He kills meaninglessly, and I'm for the balance of the universe." Image continues, "Thank you, but we are not short of manpower." "Okay, I understand, but at least I can do it." Krath was even considering whether to use a gun, and he even aimed the gun at Star-Lord T'Challa after getting repeated confirmation from Star-Lord. But this thing completely conforms to the famous law of the Marvel Universe. Guns and bullets are at least decorations, except for plot killings. Klaus was easily knocked down by Star-Lord T'Challa. Before he fainted, he still had a satisfied expression and said something like as expected of Star-Lord. The two necromancers fired without hesitation, but it was useless, and they couldn't hit anyone at all. Star-Lord T'Challa wanted to leave, but he still decided to take Krass away. "I've used worse people before." T'Challa carried Krass on his shoulders and walked out of the temple, but was surrounded by a large group of necromancers. "You are surrounded, thief." The necromancer sergeant in the lead is not a fan of T'Challa, but facing the siege, T'Challa said, "The Predator never fights alone." No reaction. I said, "The Predator never fights alone." The necromancer sergeant thought this was Star-Lord's catchphrase, but the next second, with a whistle, a flash of red light pierced the bodies of necromancers one after another. A blue-skinned leather alien appeared, with a red iron-like object on his forehead. "Who is that sleeping guy?" "Newcomer. He's looking for this thing, too." T'Challa casually threw the cosmic spirit ball to Yondu, who took the cosmic spirit ball and took out an energy detector similar to a microscope to look at it and said, "The energy of this thing is inestimable. You know, if we want to have some fun like before, we have to auction it off." "Are you sure? Don't you want to use it to drive the dying star of the Krello people? You and I both know that only this thing can do this." "Ha, you are worthy of being my son." Although the fate of the hero is played out among the infinite stars, the beginning of all this is also ordinary. With the voice of the observer, the world returned to 1988, 20 years ago. Chapter 694, 20 years ago. "I'm tired of living here. There's a whole new world out there, Dad. Yes, a world full of war, violence, and hatred." Facing T'Challa, who is full of endless yearning for the outside world, T'Challa's father, the contemporary king of Wakanda, told T'Challa that the world outside is not beautiful. Wakanda doesn't need them. Wakanda is also in a state of isolation now. Tony said, "They have super high technology, but it is obvious that they are unwilling to communicate with the outside world." This situation may not change until T'Challa takes office. But what the old king said is not wrong. At least 1988 is definitely not a suitable time to go out. Although the red behemoth is about to collapse, the world's conflicts are still serious. If Wakanda was born at that time, it would probably drop a depth charge on the situation that had finally begun to stabilize. One is fatherhood, the other is hegemony. Both sides will not watch Wakanda suddenly appear. That's definitely not all. We need to muster up the courage to explore. I understand you, my son. Although the blood of the king flows in your body, they all come from an explorer. The old king has also seen the outside world, and he has seen it deeply, even at the cost of blood. He warned T'Challa with the experience of a person who has gone through it. As a person who has ventured out, I promise you that you will find only destruction and pain. Those people cannot understand us. Young T'Challa looked at his father's back as he left, his eyes filled with unwillingness. The so-called destiny is nothing more than an equation, the result of a bunch of variables. At the right time, the right place, or at the wrong time, the wrong place. T'Challa, who was depressed, could only throw the spear around the world for fun, but he actually ran all the way to the border of Wakanda. Looking at the thrown spear, T'Challa also knew that it was a serious crime to go out without permission. He just wanted to pick up the spear, but at this moment, fate came. A predator's ship came to Earth to kidnap Ego's child, but in this universe, Yondu entrusted this task to one of his subordinates. You idiots caught the wrong person. Yondu was full of MMP, he just wanted to be lazy. He had found the place, but these idiots caught a native who didn't understand the mission at all from who knows how many light years away. Ego left countless descendants in various parts of the universe in human form, and he is now constantly entrusting Yondu, a group of predators, to bring back his descendants scattered in the universe. Originally, Peter Quill, the offspring of Yondu on Earth, should have been taken away by the predators, but in this world, fate deviated. Yondu did not go there in person, and several of Yondu's men caught the wrong people, because the vibration of vibranium affected the detector of the spacecraft. Kidnapping? Are these guys a group of human traffickers? Thanos said, I've only heard that the predators have many branches. If it weren't for Gamora, I wouldn't even care about these. Whether it's for me, the three major empires in the universe, or even Xander, the predators are just a group of bandits. But I know a lot about that guy Ego. Thanos said, that's a living planet. It is said that Ego was once the brain of a cosmic god. Janitor has met it before. That's right. Janitor nodded and said, that guy was slapped to death by my dad, but the brain of a cosmic god. I haven't heard of this. It is said that there was once a group of gods who were beheaded by a powerful god, and their bodies wandered the universe immortally. The brain of that group of gods absorbed energy over billions of years to form a new planet, which is Ego. In other words, this is indeed Ego's commission. The young T'Challa was not afraid at all. Instead, he was extremely curious, especially the blue alien opposite. Don't jump to conclusions, boss. The men in charge of arresting people were still forcing an explanation. Look, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. This clearly matches. Yondu pulled T'Challa in front of him with a curse, and played a photo of Peter Quill and cursed. This is the same person. The skin color is different. Don't you have 2 ears, 2 eyes and 1 mouth? Another person who went out to take action explained, I don't know him. To me, all humans look the same. Really? Aliens all look the same to humans. If the difference is huge, then yes. Thanos said, for example, cosmic Zerg, carbon-based life, or elemental life forms and totems. The ecological structure of this kind of life form is quite different from that of the humanoid species, just like you humans can't tell which one is which in a group of ants. In the eyes of humans, ants are all the same. At most they are of different races. As for the 2 guys on the screen, they are completely shirking responsibility. They are humanoids, almost the same as humans. It is impossible that they can't even recognize 2 people with such a big difference. Then how come they caught the wrong guy? Even if there's energy interference, it shouldn't be obvious, right? God knows, he must have drunk too much. After Feng Shui finished explaining, Wulong also said, when we took him away, the energy index was about to explode. There must be something that doesn't belong to that planet. It must be him. Looking at Wulong and Feng Shui in front of him, T'Challa was neither angry nor furious. Instead, he kindly explained, actually, my hometown was built on an alien meteorite. Yondu became interested in this little guy who was not afraid at all. he asked. "You don't look afraid at all. What are you doing out there alone?" "Explore the world." Little Chala's words aroused Yondu's interest. He said, "That sounds interesting, but don't limit yourself to one world, right?" Yondu took little Chala to the spaceship cabin and showed him the sea of stars outside. The magnificent nebula exuded colorful colors. The mysterious universe had endless temptations for Chala. Looking at the endless sea of stars, Chala's face gradually revealed an intoxicated look. Yondu knew that this kid was born to do this. And so, the plunderers got a new member. "Also, you two, go clean the toilet." Crouching Dragon and Phoenix, I thought I could run away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 695, Crew Thanos. The spaceship crossed the wormhole and arrived at a snowy planet. Although it was snowing heavily here, it was not a desolate and extremely cold place. Instead, it was full of lights and wine, and the scene of prosperity far exceeded Loki's hometown. "Loki, I'm an Asgardian. Asgard is my hometown, not Jotunheim. This is the gathering place of the plunderers." In the 20 years since he boarded the ship, Star-Lord relied on his personal charm and amazing abilities to become the leader of the plunderers led by Yondu, and even change the historical process of the universe in various aspects. Now the plunderers are no longer robbers who rob and loot, but a chivalrous organization that robs the rich and helps the poor. All these changes are inseparable from Chala. Yondu adopted Chala as his adopted son, and then handed over his position as leader to him. Facts have proved that Chala did not disappoint Yondu. At the beginning of the screening room, no, it should be the observer who said something that made sense. The weak are changed by the world, while the strong will change the world. The predators in my world are still a group of notorious robbers and bandits, and Star-Lord. At this point, Thanos expressed his dissatisfaction from his father-in-law, an unknown gangster boy. If it weren't for the incident on Xandar that made him famous, who would know that there is a predator called Star-Lord in this world? Cheers to the predators. XNA group of predators raised their glasses to celebrate and held a welcome ceremony for the new member, Krass. At the welcome party, Krass's eyes still did not leave his idol Star-Lord. He asked about Star-Lord's great achievements and wanted to know which one he liked best. For Krass's questions, Star-Lord was a little difficult to answer, mainly because he had done too many things, and doing a good thing from the heart, this kind of thing is generally not very clear, because he didn't think too much when he did it, and saving people doesn't have to consider so many causes and consequences. Robbing the Skrulls galaxy, attacking the cosmic cult, one big event after another was told by Krass, and it can be seen that Krass really admires Star-Lord Chala. By the way, how did you organize that crazy titan Thanos? Krass became more and more excited as he spoke, and he didn't notice that a purple giant appeared behind him. A purple big hand slapped Krass's body, which made his heart chill. Oh. Krass slowly raised his head, and the owner of the giant hand was the crazy titan he was talking about. It is never a good thing to say bad things about others behind their backs, especially when they are caught red-handed. In this case, it may not only be embarrassing, but also be beaten. Especially when the other party was once a madman who killed people without blinking an eye. Oh wow. Seeing Thanos appearing in a plunderer uniform, everyone in the theater couldn't help but widen their eyes. This look of Thanos is rare, and those who are quick, such as Loki, have already taken screenshots. Thanos had no objection to his change, but accepted it calmly. He had already studied a lot of books and read countless documents, some from his own world and some from other people's worlds. He did population experiments in his own world and talked with others, causing Ace and Wanda to beat him up. Afterwards, he found that the screening room was just for fun. Thanos remembered that he had stopped the population experiment inexplicably and thought that he had to find a way to solve the changes in his world anyway. People who cause the world to be destroyed will never be tolerated. Regarding the changes in the isotopes, Thanos was just a little curious about how much personality charm Star-Lord Chala had. to not only convince the crazy self, but also make him willingly join the Predators and join their team. But he first saw the hugeness of the multiverse and realized the insignificance of his own universe in front of the entire multiverse. Then he was influenced by the different ideas of the multiverses and gradually changed his thinking. And the self in that universe was actually convinced by Star-Lord T'Challa alone. Interesting. Video continues. I can generously admit that I did make a mistake. T'Challa taught me that freedom is not the way to use the resources of the universe reasonably. Sometimes the best weapon in your arsenal is the answer. Faced with T'Challa's complaints, Thanos picked up a drink and drank it all in one gulp before continuing. Yes, you're right. Although I still think my plan has its merits. Oh, a burst of boo sounded. The Predators were already tired of hearing about Thanos' plan. From the initial shock to the current speechlessness, Wang, who brought T'Challa on the spacecraft that year, said, "This is naked genocide, big guy. I still think this plan is very efficient." Whoa. Just when T'Challa was paying, he found out that the bartender was actually from a planet he had saved. Because Star-Lord stopped the Kree, Drax, who had a happy family, was excited to see Star-Lord T'Challa and pulled T'Challa to take crazy photos. Star-Lord T'Challa forced a smile. JPG just then, a blonde, blue-skinned woman with a graceful figure wearing a silver cheongsam walked over and said, "Long time no see, Chacha." Nebula? After Nebula's help, T'Challa finally escaped from Drax's death embrace. "I don't see you often here." Nebula asked with the cosmic spirit ball, "Does the big guy know you have this? You mean your father?" T'Challa angered Nebula with just one sentence, but considering that the two had a good relationship, Nebula just threw the cup on the ground to vent her dissatisfaction. "He should feel lucky that I will call him big guy. You know, he is obsessed with gardening now. You should talk to him. He has made changes. But this does not affect the past." After that, Nebula pulled up the vibranium necklace on T'Challa's neck and asked, "You still hang it around your neck? Have you ever thought about going back? Then there is nothing worth remembering." T'Challa's face was not right, and he was obviously saying one thing and thinking another. "When I was a child, Yondu thought about sending me back to Wakanda, but it has been destroyed. I'm sorry, but it's another meaningless war. My father once warned me that humans are like this, and it seems he was right. Did I have this daughter?" Thanos asked doubtfully. "I only remember that I have a daughter named Gamora, whom you have also seen. To be precise, we have only seen Gamora as a child." Chapter 696, Thanos, Grass. Thanos tried hard to recall, and finally remembered that he seemed to have an adopted daughter besides Gamora. Is her name Nebula? Thanos had tried very hard, but he just couldn't remember anything. And, what about Gamora? Maybe it's the difference between the two worlds. Tony said, "In this world, you adopted Gamora as your daughter, and in that world, it's Nebula." No, in my world, Nebula should also be my adopted daughter. I barely have some impression of her. She was transformed by me, and her body should be full of machines. It should be because of Star-Lord T'Challa. I didn't kill Gamora's home planet, and I didn't transform Nebula's body after giving up the battle in the universe. Well, that's it. But Thanos suddenly thought of something and looked at T'Challa a little unhappy. "Does the title of Star-Lord have an attractive effect on my daughter, Thanos? Although T'Challa is indeed good, what's so good about the Star-Lord in my world?" Exclamation mark. Ignoring Thanos, who had entered the old father mode, everyone's good impression of T'Challa was soaring. The image continues. We call it the Embers of Creation. The Nebula released a projection, which was a bunch of weeds, but even just a projection could show the endless vitality contained in it. It contains the cosmic dust left over from ancient supernova explosions. It has the ability to repair the entire ecosystem. Only milligrams can turn a deserted dead star into a vibrant planet, and it only takes a few minutes. We can use it to save millions of planets and hundreds of millions of people. T'Challa saw the value of this thing at a glance, and crass complained, "Don't let the genocide know, it might ruin his good deeds." "I'll do it for you." "Daughter, shut up. Is she your blood descendant? Adopted?" It's a long story. Looking at the overly complicated interpersonal relationships in the small conference room, T'Challa said that he tried very hard to persuade the father and daughter to get psychological counseling. But he never succeeded. So who is the target? Finally, Yondu brought the topic back on track. Facing Yondu's question, Nebula said a name that was feared in this universe, Tanliativan, that is, the Collector. Is it him? The leader of the most cruel interstellar gang? Walong's exclamation triggered a chain reaction from Crass. I thought you were you. It used to be. Thanos said that for him, the Collector was just a specter of the times who quietly took advantage of his absence. The predator at the top of the food chain was gone, and the next level of predator would take over. The Collector took over because of his absence. When I left, Tivan filled this vacancy. He, a mere collector, an older mortal who relied on a bet. Thanos had no respect for the Collector. In his opinion, including the Council of Elders of the Universe, they were a group of entropy-increasing wastes that wasted their lives. Living could only accelerate the entropy increase of the universe, and the rest was useless. Janitor supports Thanos' view, and says that in her world, the Collector can no longer be resurrected. Wait, that's Geo Shianzan, the Collector's brother. That's fine. We all think the Collector is an extremely dangerous person. By the way, the Collector does not provide dental services. No matter how you get in, I can't get through his defenses. What are you going to do? Dig a hole? That lunatic will kill you without mercy. The plan proposed by Chala is to let Nebula take the lead in selling the fake cosmic spirit sphere to the Collector in exchange for an opportunity for Chala to sneak in and steal the creation ashes. Yondu couldn't hold it anymore when he heard this opportunity. He was extremely opposed to this plan. Chala, you are committing suicide. Are you crazy? If you are caught by him, you will not be able to leave a complete body. He will not even kill you, but will decompose you and hang the remaining methods on the wall to make you live a life worse than death. As long as there is a Collector, we won't do it. This is the rule. It can be seen that the Collector has become famous after Thanos was removed. Chala did not fight with Yondu at this time. He can get to where he is today not only because of his fighting ability, but also because of his high emotional intelligence. Don't try to reason with someone who is angry, as that will only make things worse. Wait until he calms down before talking to him slowly. Chala is like this. He calculated the time and waited until Yondu was almost calm. He found Yondu and relied on his eloquence to convince Yondu. Okay kid, I have never been able to say no to you. When they felt that they had to do this, they began to make a plan. The Collector's lair is in the head of an ancient god. It is said that this matter is related to the guy named Null. He has a special liking for exotic animals and plants. He placed the embers of creation in his resting room. He hired the Legion of Evil to guard his lair. Thanos said with disdain, believe me, this is not bad news. The door opened, and a red-skinned maid came out to greet the two. It was Yondu and Nebula who had arranged to sell the cosmic spirit orb. The big box they carried with them hid the prepared Chala. And the security personnel here are Proxima Midnight. Fuck. Thanos looked at Proxima Midnight holding a weapon on the screen, and his face was speechless. Although he had lost most of his memories of the Black Four when he saw Proxima Midnight, Thanos still remembered the part about Proxima Midnight. So Thanos swore. Then something even more speechless happened. Klaus was punched and sent flying, because according to their plan, someone needed to make a noise to attract the attention of the security guards, so that Chala and the others could successfully blend in. And the one who punched Kras was none other than Thanos. Wait, didn't we agree to act? Of course. Thanos grabbed Kras' neck and said, call me Captain Extinction once, new guy. Looking at Thanos' dangerous expression and threatening tone, Kras knew that today's matter was somewhat personal. So, Captain Extinction. Klaus shouted even louder. As a reminder, tomorrow is Father's Day. Chapter 697. The Truth. Krath and other predators were making trouble outside to attract the attention of security, and Star-Lord took this opportunity to slip out of the box and start looking for the embers of creation. The outside was attracted, but there was a bigger boss in the house. The Collector, Tyler Tiwen. Tiwen greeted the two of them, and Star-Lord took the opportunity to sneak into the Collector's treasure room, where he saw a dog wearing an Earth spacesuit, which looked like a Labrador, a duck that could speak English, and the duck was holding a glass of red wine in its hand. It seemed that this duck had a high status here, a dark elf, God knows how this thing became the collector's collection. Everyone looked at the collector's treasure house with a tingling scalp. This guy actually collected so many animals and plants. Even janitor said, "I'm afraid that the collector's treasure house can contain at least more than 10% of the biological communities in the entire universe. This is a very scary data. The universe is so big, and there are so many planets. Only a slight difference between two planets will cause the appearance of the creatures on the two planets to be completely different. And since Janitor, the daughter of the Star Devourer, could say such a number, you can imagine how many creatures there are here, or how many creatures have been turned into collector's collections." Star-Lord also chatted with the duck, because he found that the duck actually spoke English, which was really rare. "I'm looking for the Ember of Creation. Do you know where it is?" "The Cosmic Plant Exhibition Hall. Turn left at the Frost Giant, and then take a good look at it at the Cronin." The duck chatted non-stop. As the saying goes, 2 women together are 500 ducks, which also indirectly confirms how noisy ducks are, especially when they learn to speak human language. Faced with the chattering duck, Star-Lord quickly removed the duck's display case and let it take him to find the Ember of Creation. Dark Knight Proxima defeated all the Predators, including Thanos, with one move, and then found that this was a deception, and immediately sounded the alarm and the entire collector's base was blocked. Chala, who was panicking, could only come to the collection room of the spaceship. Thanos frowned and thought about the fighting power of the Dark Knight Proxima on his side. He thought for a long time, and felt that, no matter how strong Dark Knight Proxima was, it was unreasonable for him to be able to knock him out with one move. Moreover, this reaction speed was not very similar to the Dark Knight Proxima in the video he watched. Is it that the self in that world is too bad, or the Dark Knight Proxima in his world is too bad? This is a question worth thinking about. The premise is to solve the hidden dangers in his own world and find Dark Knight Proxima, before thinking about it. The video continues. Chala in the collection room of the spaceship suddenly found that the vibranium necklace he carried with him lit up. Chala is such a smart person. He quickly found a spaceship with a clear Wakanda logo. After entering, it was full of Wakanda style. There were several puppets on the driver's seat, wearing Wakanda style clothes. As for their owners, it was unknown. Chala easily activated a route, and inside was the extremely old king. This is impossible. A long time ago, Chala mentioned that he wanted to go home, but Yondu told him that Wakanda had been destroyed, and in the flames of war. The father on the screen was obviously old, not counting his father's extraordinary power. After drinking the heart-shaped grass, even if he was an ordinary person, it would not make sense for him to age so much in just a few years, when he was in his prime. My son, Chala, the Prince of Wakanda. The image on the screen turned into a young Chala, exactly how he looked when he was taken away by the looters. He was taken away by an alien spaceship on Earth. If you have any information about him, please reply to the entire coordinate. Chala, if you are there, you are a shining beam of light in the sea of stars. We will search every corner of the universe until we find you. Father, how could Chala not know what happened here? Wakanda was not destroyed at all. This was all Yondu's deception. Chala knew that now was not the time to ask Yondu for clarification. Now he had to take action, but he didn't expect that at this time. Nebula suddenly appeared with a laser pointed at Chala's head. Little Chacha, I hope you understand me. I owe a favor to this guy to win, and you are that favor. Cheo. The direction of things is always beyond our imagination, just like the restaurant I ate at today turned out to be opened by my uncle. Chala and Yondu were also sent to prison, where Chala's emotions broke out. You lied to me. Chala grabbed Yondu's collar and pressed him against the cell wall. Strangely, Yondu seemed to know Chala's reaction. Maybe he had seen Wakanda's spaceship a long time ago. I'm protecting you. Wait a minute, are we talking about the mission? Or family matters? You once told me that Wakanda was destroyed and my people were killed. How can you call this protecting me? Feng Chu nodded and said, oh, it seems to be a family matter. Sometimes you need to lie to find the truth. You and I are the same kind of people, Chala. Looking at Yondu, Chala couldn't do it. He could only put Yondu down and tell him that they were not the same kind of people. You are an explorer, Star-Lord. For people like you and us, command in the past is a cage that blocks your progress. You are different from them. You don't belong there. You were born to be one of us. You are not my family. In anger, words are the most hurtful weapon. Even Thanos' mouth corners drooped when he said this. At this time, General Corvus knocked Chala unconscious and took him away. When Chala woke up, he was already in a special display cabinet, and it was a different purple tone. I must apologize for the embarrassing scene between you and Nebula just now. Chala was too lazy to talk nonsense with a collector. He directly asked the collector's purpose. There is a wall in my restaurant that is still empty, and I need a decoration. It's a pity When I'm just an ordinary person, not a work of art. But to me, you are an extremely rare work of art. Tiwan thought for a moment and asked, do you really not have any superpowers? Can you fly? Or shoot lasers from your eyes? Chapter 698, The Collector's Collection, Captain America's Shield, Thor's Hammer. Let's fight and you'll know. Forget it, I prefer to put you in a cage. Where I come from, history never favors those who like to put others in cages. It seems that you still have some superpowers. Your hypocrisy annoys people to death. The collector waved his hand and said, tear him apart, there's no need to waste the wall and the cage. It seems that your most loyal subordinate has also rebelled. Thanos ignored the ridicule from Loki. What does the whereabouts of Ebony Maw in that world have to do with him? On the contrary, he only has one Ebony Maw now. In prison, Nebula was escorted by General Corvus Glaive to meet the plunderers. My daughter. Thanos still called Nebula his daughter, but his face was not good. However, at this time, Krass suddenly came out to accuse her of betrayal. At this time, you can see obvious surprise on Thanos' face, as if saying that this is not written in the script. This newcomer is stealing my show. This is a rare opportunity for me to act opposite my daughter. He still deserves a beating. Nebula smiled and took out a laser gun, the one she had pointed at Chala before. When he saw the gun pointed at him, Krass was still scared. Marvel's law, guns are just decorations. But this law generally only applies to the protagonist and the villain. Quicksilver, you know what I'm going to say, right? He's a supporting role, and was just a bit player before, so maybe the gun is still useful. But Nebula turned around and shot him at a not very fast speed. So General Corvus died with a look of surprise on his face. The 4 Dark Knights in this world seem so weak. Isn't it that Thanos wasn't that strong? I think that, although Corvus died from a sneak attack, he was still a capable fighter. Besides, doesn't his gun that kills everyone contain souls? How come he died after being shot in the chest? Thanos has a suppressive effect on the 4 Dark Knights, but it wasn't Thanos who fired the shot. I think the remaining 3 who died must have felt very frustrated. Relax everyone, especially the new guy. I'm here to save you. I'm not like you. You like to change your mind. Faced with Yondu's words, Nebula said, I don't like it either. This was the original plan. From the beginning, I told Chala that the collector was hunting him, and I happened to owe the collector money. The Wakanda spacecraft was an accident. Nebula led a group of predators out of the prison. On the way, she told everyone, my plan is to settle my debt and get the ashes of creation at the same time. So this is the plan? Great, you're worthy of being Star-Lord. Faced with Star-Lord's little fanboy, Nebula told him without hesitation that it was Chala's plan to keep him in the dark. So the little fanboy Krass automatically filled in everything in his mind. I have to say that, if I hadn't seen how the two met, I would have thought that Chala had learned the brainwashing technique of Hydra. This is a bit scary. Actually, it's okay. I remember that many fans of Stars on Earth are also like this. Star-Lord Chala is at least an interstellar Robin Hood who has saved the planet and robbed the rich to help the poor. How can those people have so many fans? Have they played Robin Hood? Ebony Maw is arguing with the red-skinned maid, and Chala took this opportunity to take out the vibranium necklace and broke the protective shield with a punch. Ebony Maw and the red-skinned maid were both startled. They saw Chala's agile figure like a cheetah, easily flipping over the box next to him, and then being subdued by Ebony Maw with a telekinetic move. So warriors are generally useless in front of wizards. Ebony Maw raised his hand and summoned the glass fragments beside him, preparing to use the glass fragments to cut Star-Lord's throat, or cut his tendons, or send the glass fragments into Chala's body. but with a gunshot, Ebony Maw fell down with his eyes wide open. I knew it. This way of dying is more casual than the last time. After losing the control of telekinesis, Chala fell from midair. After thanking the maid, Chala ran all the way and caused countless alarms. At a corner, an oversized stone fist punched Chala away. Chala's physique is not that of an ordinary person. If an ordinary person is hit by a punch, the brain will probably burst on the spot, but Chala, let alone a brain burst, didn't even feel dizzy for a second. Don't think about leaving the party without saying goodbye. Someone told me that you often do this. Chala was referring to the matter of locking people in cages. The collector did not deny it. Not to mention the collection. He could not deny it at all. Besides, he always used his huge collection as a weapon to show off to other universe elders. Chala's punches failed to break through the defense. Instead, the collector was able to knock Chala several meters away with one punch. Isn't it amazing? I cut this off from a Cronin. That's a race that's very similar to the Stone Giants, but not exactly the same. Loki acted as the commentator at this time. The Stone Giants are native species of the Nine Realms. Although they are very weak compared to the Frost Giants and Fire Giants, they can reach a height of 10 meters when they grow up, and they are not affected by external factors like the Frost Giants and Fire Giants. And the Stone Giants have the effect of being able to gain strength from the earth when they stand on the ground. The race is relatively gentle. The Stone Giants usually sleep in their own territory and sleep all the time. And the Cronins are a kind of creature living on the Cronin planet. Their bodies are made of rock. Their adult height is about the same as that of ordinary Asgardians, but they are incomparable in strength. They have a certain technological civilization. If you don't like this, I have other ways to play. The collector took off his robe, revealing the controller, and summoned an iron cabinet with a light press. The cabinet opened, and countless weapons appeared. That's Captain's shield. My brother's hammer. The two looked at each other. They probably didn't expect that their reactions would be even greater than the original owner of the item. My shield will become a collector's item? Captain America didn't react much to this, because he probably knew that the earth in that world might have been looted by the collector. As long as the man is there, the shield may be broken, but it is absolutely impossible for him to give it to a cosmic bully. Chapter 699. Crazy Conjecture. Loki's dagger, Hela's crown. Look at this knife. The collector picked up the knife and showed off. It's a dagger forged with the dark matter of the ruler of the Night Elves. The Dark Elves, their leader is called Maleski. I thought the Dark Elf before was just a Dark Elf that was captured and sold to the collector after Maleski died, but I didn't expect that this guy's record is even more terrifying than I expected. Loki was not afraid of the Dark Elves. They were just a group of dead survivors who barely maintained their strength after losing the reality gem and relied on ancient technology. They almost fell to the same level as the Stone Giants. The point is that the dagger was made from the corpse of their leader. Maleski in his own world was stabbed a few times and burned to slag by the destroyer, loaded with eternal fire energy. If it weren't for the hammer, he might have thought that it was a corpse and slave bought by the collector. But Thor's hammer has become a collector's collection, so Asgard in that world is likely to not survive Ragnarok. Thinking of this, Loki's face darkened. Wait. 20 years ago. 20 years ago was 1988, but unfortunately it was in the Earth calendar. So, the timeline of that world should now be in the Earth calendar of 2008. What happened on Earth in 2008? When did my brother fall to Earth? It's too early. Tony shook his head and said, the Earth in 2008 was still very peaceful, the old antique was still in the ice, and I didn't build a battlesuit. The protagonist of Point Break came to Earth in 2011. I also thought that Iron Man 1 was set in 2008, because Iron Man 1 was capped in 2008, but the real timeline didn't start until 2010. In other words, in our timeline, or that shitty sacred timeline, nothing should have happened in 2008 on the Earth calendar, but the collector of that world not only got the body of Maleski, the leader of the Dark Elves who was supposed to wake up in a few years, but also took my brother's hammer and Captain America's shield. Under normal circumstances, Captain America should still be in the ice at this time. The two compared the timelines and found that either the timeline of that world didn't match this, or the timeline of that world was seriously disrupted. Do you remember the timeline of my world? Loki said seriously for the first time. The fire giant, the frost giant, and the dark elves who woke up early. I think there is really a possibility that something is playing tricks in secret. The other party may have the ability to travel through multiple universes. Cross different multiverses? That's right. To cross different multiverses, the most important thing is to break through the existence of the wall. The person who said this was actually Godzilla. Wukong told me that it is not difficult to leave a small world, but it is difficult to leave the entire big world. The small world is an ordinary universe, and the big world is the entire multiverse. As long as you are strong enough, you can break through the wall of the world and enter the outside world. There are countless dangers outside the domain, and the role of the wall of the world is to prevent these threats from invading the world and protect the life in the world. But to break through the wall of the entire big world, what is needed is not strength, but a certain kind of recognition. Recognition? Yes, recognition. Only those who are recognized by two big worlds can travel freely between different big worlds. Strength is not important in front of the world. Even if you are just an ordinary person, as long as you are recognized by the world, you can travel between different big worlds. No matter how powerful you are, don't think about leaving. But, Wukong also told me that it is said that some extremely powerful beings outside the domain have invented a smuggling plan that can hide from the will of the world and come into the world. Then, which one is the screening room? No matter which one it is, I think the most important thing for us now is to unite. Captain America stood up and said, several worlds have been affected now. If this continues, no one can predict the direction. We should unite to face this crisis from nowhere. I don't think the screening room will give out such a video specifically. Maybe all this is arranged by the screening room to let Thanos play the story of that world. Even if there is no Thanos, I think the screening room will find a chance to release this video and let Godzilla enter the library to accept this knowledge and then come back to tell us. But why doesn't the screening room say it directly? Guang suddenly thought of something, and he connected to the consciousness of people other than Strange. Maybe, just like in Strange's case, the truth of the matter is like the old ones. If we know. So, is the screening room protecting us in disguise? I don't think the screening room needs to harm us. If he really wants to kill us, there is no need to make it so troublesome. Could it be that the screening room is secretly calculating something? Speculations are just speculations after all, and Dr. Manhattan decided to go back and break the wall because of the injuries caused by the hell card in the screening room. Dr. Manhattan planned to gradually recover from the injuries before breaking the wall, but now it seems that this true godlike figure seems to be a little anxious. What a pity. Dr. Manhattan shook his head. At the beginning, he asked more about different worlds and higher dimensions. If possible, he would not mind asking the powerful man with a super long name at the cost of losing an arm. The video continues. Or would you like something more elegant? The collector had no intention of killing Chala directly. It was not because he was kind, but because he planned to show his collection well, which gave him a great sense of pleasure. He waved the dagger made of Molesk's ashes twice, and then pressed a button to show another collection. The moment the screen switched, Loki saw that his knife, crossed out, and the dagger of the god of trickery were also in the collector's treasure house. His attention was attracted by his brother's hammer just now, and he saw that his knife had also become a collector's collection. Loki, who was still paying attention to himself, was shocked by a greater surprise the next second. This thing actually fell into the hands of the collector, and it is so complete. Everyone looked at the twisted crown on the screen that exuded the breath of death, and instinctively had a bad feeling. That is the crown of hell. Yes, the crown of the goddess of death, Hela. Loki basically realized that there was a gap in the history of Asgard. Later, with the help of Asgard History, produced by the screening room, he learned about that long forgotten history. You can search for the 4D version of Thor 3. Yes, it is available on Bilibili, and it feels pretty good. Chapter 700, when Thanos gets angry. Although Loki didn't really want to talk about the scandal of the Asgard royal family, it was obvious that something was more important at this point. That's Hela, the goddess of death. She was sealed in the underworld Helheim by my father because she was too cruel. That helmet is Hela's crown, the crown of hell. Loki frowned and said, Hela was sealed by my father. If Ragnarok happens, it is possible that Hela will break the seal. But is the Collector so strong? He can even defeat Hela? Is there a possibility that the Collector directly attacked Asgard and triggered Ragnarok? Impossible. Actually, that's true. After all, with the Collector's personality, if he really did that, he would definitely show the weapon of the God King, the Eternal Spear Kanguni. Loki didn't feel relieved when he heard this. He knew that this was more of a comfort. Thor's hammer is the weapon of the next king. Odin can't just watch his heir get his weapon taken away without saying a word. This is a huge provocation to Asgard. As long as Odin is still alive, he will not sit idly by. I think that the abnormality of that world is probably caused by someone messing around behind the scenes. Loki said, if Challer's becoming Star-Lord is just an accident, then what we showed before is definitely not an accident. It would be great if we could enter that world to investigate. The astral projection of the Ancient One can even connect to Vishanti and communicate with the selves in other universes. Strange suddenly said casually, it is said that the Ancient One also used this method to hold meetings with the selves in other universes. Unfortunately, the Ancient One in my world has already followed Vishanti's footsteps. No one said anything, but most people's eyes were already on Tony and Captain America. The Ancient One in their world is still alive. Loki also decided to announce all this after returning and let the God King Odin find the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One to see if he could get any clues. And Hikari and Ace planned to relay the situation here to King Odin. Although the old man traveled around and drank tea all day long, he would definitely take action when encountering such a situation. This woman really has good taste. After putting on the Hell Crown, the Collector's body trembled, and then he raised his hand and summoned a dark green longsword that exuded a cold breath of death. The dark sword, the weapon of Asaja, the god of death. The Collector raised his hand and threw the dark sword. This thing seemed to be able to be mass-produced and could be fired continuously. Chala kept dodging and tried to snatch the Hell Crown on the Collector's head, but all ended in failure. Finally, Chala, who was one step behind, was nailed to death on the display case by the dark sword. This isn't right. Loki was a little confused. Does Hela's crown have this ability? And even if the source of the dark sword is the Hell Crown, it needs Hela's divine power to drive it. Why can't the Collector drive it? The video continues. The escaping team on the other side was chased by the guards. Black Dwarf took the lead and fired crazily with a giant laser machine gun that was estimated to be in tons. Of course, this thing didn't hit a single shot. Next to Black Dwarf were Ronan's dead soldiers. After Thanos abdicated, Ronan also joined the Collector. Dark Knight Proxima wanted to sneak attack Nebula, but was punched away by Thanos. The strength of this former cosmic overlord has not weakened much even after being whitewashed. You get on the spaceship first. Are you crazy? Looking at Thanos, who was ready to resist the entire Legion alone, Nebula said anxiously, you can't deal with them alone. I'm not crazy. Thanos turned slowly, with uncontrollable anger in his tone. I'm just very angry. Facing the backstab from his former subordinates, Thanos rushed up directly under the laser rain. This thing was not as good as scraping on Thanos, and it couldn't even be called photon rejuvenation. After all, photon rejuvenation must at least be the standard of Ji-Yajin. Thanos slapped the body of a dead soldier into pieces. Even if this thing was called a dead soldier, it couldn't die again. The soldiers along the way had no deterrent effect on Thanos, so he stayed where he was and started mowing the grass until the enemy generals slowly arrived. Former Black Dwarf 4 generals, current leader of the Extreme Evil Legion, Black Star. Black Dwarf knocked Thanos on the forehead with a pincer, almost knocking Thanos off his feet. But facing a powerful tank like Black Star, Thanos, who was also a tank, showed Black Star what bloodline suppression and level suppression were. Thanos knocked back Black Star, who was holding a weapon weighing dozens of tons, with a punch, and picked up a dead soldier and smashed it at Black Star. When Black Star knocked the dead soldier away, Thanos had already rushed in front of him. The disadvantage of long weapons appeared at this moment. Facing Thanos, who was close to him, Black Star's weapons became a burden at this moment. Thanos hit Black Dwarf with an uppercut, knocking him out of his daze. Then he grabbed Black Dwarf's weapon with both hands and started to attack Black Dwarf. But at this moment, Thanos' face suddenly turned sideways, as if the Berserker's frenzy time had come. He was completely weak, and Black Dwarf seized the opportunity to counterattack with several punches, but he was unable to block it. Seeing this, Proxima Midnight directly stabbed Thanos' ankle. The knife actually contained biological toxins, and then it carried a huge electric current into Thanos' body. Thanos screamed under Proxima Midnight's shameless attack. Nebula, who heard the scream, had already boarded the spaceship, but she hesitated when she heard the scream. "You were ambushed." "No, they played a dirty trick." Thanos said, "If I was defeated in a proper battle, I wouldn't say much. I'll admit defeat if I'm not as skilled as the other person, even if the other person is my subordinate. But what puzzles me is that my face changed obviously at that time, and then I fell into a disadvantage. I must have been weak at that time. Here I'm puzzled. As a titan, a creation of the gods, our titans have terrifying physical fitness. General attack effects, whether scientific or magical, will not be of much use. And I was like being cursed. It's not surprising that the collector collects collections from all over the universe. It's not surprising that he develops, or just happens to have props for the titans. But why would such a thing appear on the battlefield? With the collector's personality, he will only keep these things in his lair. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.